Okay. What's up, guys? Joe chose the music today.
I choose the music every day
for the dance party here. All right, guys. Let's get this started. I'm gonna throw everything up here as usual. And we will get started with
starting from the bottom, going to the top. We got Frank Sugar Britches, Daryl Denton. How are you? Daryl Denton was just in the LBL with a big mess of people. And apparently they had some pretty crazy activity. I haven't gotten the full story yet, but E-Rev, War Criminal 7, Lady Wolf, Pyromedic, Jeff from Outdoors 101, Herschel Henderson, Trista, Sharon, MK Ultra, Teresa Wilkins, who appreciated my music. Right. Eva DeLutis, I think you're new to the live. Welcome to the live here. Jay Myers, Sam Burton. Sam, I saw on Facebook you've been doing nothing but yard work. You need to come over and do our yard next.
Yeah, you definitely need to come do our yard
next. Jamie Adams, James Barker, Cryptid Castleberry, Paper Chaser, Ida Bustamante, Johnny Appleseed, our good friend Matt Keenan, Lance Landmark. Lance Landmark is a fairly new to the channel. Lance, it's good to see you on a live tonight. Vicky Racer, Big Racer, Ryan Holloway, TCR 44. We're on one.
Goodness gracious, we're still going.
Yeah, I think that's about it. I'm probably missing a few of you, but I'm sure I'll see you down here at the bottom. So.
All right, cool. All righty. Welcome to Hellbent Holler Live. I am Jesse. This is Joe. And this is another Monday with the Hellbenders. As usual, we've been kind of busy, kind of running around trying to get everything straightened back up after we got back from our trip from LBL.
Yeah, Matt Keenan asked, how close have you gotten to death this week? Not close. Well, close around the house, maybe. We had a huge unpack and equipment refit and cleaning. I'm staring at all the cases right now off screen if you wonder what I'm doing. But we needed a few days to kind of resort the gear and just kind of get everything cleaned and kind of get up and just kind of reset. So we actually had a pretty quiet weekend. So
yeah. Yes. Last night we were on a live with Encrypted Connections. And I think a bunch of you guys were over there. Thank you guys for popping over there for that show and watching that show and supporting him over there. He's a really nice dude, and I think his show's going to do very well in the future. We were very excited to go on there and have that conversation with him. I think he seemed to enjoy it as well. And I'm glad that a lot of you Hellbenders came over there and subscribed and are now following his channel. So that's Encrypted Connections. If you guys missed that interview, make sure you pop over there and you check it out. Joe and I talked for about 2 hours. I think.
2.5. You know, who's counting?
Yeah, so. But it was a good time. It was a really good time. We really enjoyed it. It's really nice sometimes for us to just sit there and ramble more than usual, but kind of hash out some ideas and really kind of put stuff down in stone and really hash out some ideas and theories and get that across. So Pyromedic, oh, you go ahead. Pyromedic bent some brain cells last night. I guess so. There were quite a few people on his channel that are not familiar with us. So it was pretty interesting. I don't know if there was any other backlash from it. I don't get online and read BS. So if there was any other backlash, it was pretty interesting.
Sorry.
We're right here, Joe. It's okay.
But yeah, we had a good time. We don't really do a lot of shows together. I think what's that, our third one that we've done, but not our own.
Yeah, together. Yeah, I think so. And I need to add that to the playlist on our channel where of shows that we're featured on. So I'll do that. That'll be on our channel in the guest appearances playlist if you want to find it there. So you guys take a look out for that. All right, guys.
That's fresh. Is actually from Encrypted Connections.
Oh, yeah.
Him on there last night. So thanks for popping over to our live stream.
Yeah, Joe having a moment.
Yes. So.
Joe and I have had just a stressful couple of days, so we're kind of going through a.
Check out the best compliment anybody's ever paid me ever. East German 1980s tonight.
Oh my God!
I'll take that. So I'll take that. So
just don't encourage him. It is a pretty tight haircut you got there, Joe.
It is a pretty tight haircut. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, we will get into it now. I know that what encrypted news today. I know that Daryl Denton and our buddy Martin Groves and Barton all of them went to the LBL this week and they got into some stuff.
Yeah, I haven't heard the full story, but I know they had some activity. I think it was Saturday night. I'm not positive, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, they had some activity out there. I got a couple of text messages from Barton when they, as it was going on, when they got back in. So, well, not as it was going on, as they were getting into the LBL. I didn't really hear much until afterwards. He told me that they had some pretty crazy activity through there. So it's interesting to hear. And I got some comments today from somebody who mentioned that they live right outside the LBL and that they were really happy to hear people talking about, oh, there's stuff going on there other than just the regular dogman phenomenon. And it's always really good to hear somebody who's a local there who has some first person experiences, like somebody new come out. And I always say that for every person that's like, oh, I've lived there my whole life, never had anything happen to me, there's 2 or 3 that are going to tell you that they've experienced weird stuff inside the boundaries of the LBL or just beyond at that point. So,
And you can go there your whole life. You can go up and down the trace. You can go to the designated campgrounds because there are like decent designated campgrounds out there. You can go and do that all you want. That's fine, and probably never have an experience, never see anything out of the ordinary. But the peninsula is very, very large, and there are a lot of places where people don't generally go. There are hidden areas all over the place where things go bump in the night. So I think just having a few experiences where everything was honky dory doesn't really give a accurate representation of the peninsula as a whole.
Daryl Denton said he had a blast at the LBL with plenty of activity. The beast may have been seen. So we don't really have any prepared topics tonight. We're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants. So if anybody's got anything cool that's happened or anything y'all want to palaver about, palaver, bring it up in the chat.
Todd Hall says, hello, Joe and Jesse. And last but not least, all the Hellbenders out there. How many different agencies do you think were out there? Sounded like a bunch.
In the LBL, there were quite a few. Martin Groves would be able to answer that better than we could because he was making
sort
notes.
Of digging into that.
He was making notes and making a lot of visual references to the different people that we saw. What was the one we saw from Arizona?
Yeah. So what was really interesting is we tried to go to one area that was blocked off, and they were letting somebody in with an RV, and they were they got out of the RV and they were in like a uniform, but the tags on the RV were from Arizona. So we don't know if they're bringing in outside help.
Well, they were bringing in outside help. That's what Martin said, that they were bringing in different federal agencies. And what's weird is that, so from what I understand, and somebody can correct me because I've never hunted in the LBL. If War Criminal's on here, he'll be able to tell me whether this is right or wrong in the chat. But the different states handle the hunting down there. So if you're on the Tennessee side, we know Tennessee Fish and Wildlife or their equivalent will be the ones that monitor the hunting, make sure you got your tags, basically enforce all the hunting regulations. And then when you're on the Kentucky side, same thing. So there was a hog hunt going on out there. Now it's eradication. It's not sportsman, it's not hunting for sport. But we didn't see any local or state people. It was all just like federals. And then whatever that so-called company was that they had brought in, that was a very well-equipped private company to try to take hogs out. So
we saw a lot of like work vehicles too, because they were full of all of the stuff needed to kind of shut down the roads. But it was work vehicles full of all this stuff to shut down the roads, barricades, all of that stuff, and shovels and block. They were bringing in block and wood and all kinds of stuff to block off these roads. And there was that they were accompanied by what looked to be federal vehicles. So I don't know.
That's Fresh says, I'm from the UK. There's soon going to be a film doc coming out called Wolflands. I think you'll find this interesting. Let me go ahead and open up Wolflands documentary. Open that in a tab. And then I think you'll find this interesting. Jesse, we have some killer barges here in the UK.
Whoa.
Your love for barges has now gone transcontinental. So
an international barge lover.
All right, here we go. Eyes in the Woods. Have you heard Gary Nolan indicated he saw some remarkable footage? He said it was the most remarkable he has seen related to the proof of a shadow biome, and he was helping the researchers write a paper. No, I have not heard that. I have heard him dance around the topic before. And I have heard him basically answer without answering when he's asked if he's seen footage that would just shock the general public. And he'll basically go, I can't really answer that question, which tells you everything you need to know about whether Gary Nolan has seen that or not. Now, he's also in at least two interviews talked about that shadow biosphere. Basically, and for those of you who haven't heard us talk about this before, the concept of a shadow biosphere or a shadow biome is that life, all the life as we know it, from the, the birds outside to your cat to you, everything followed a pretty standard line of the life that you see around you right now. A lot of things have common ancestors if you go far enough back. Shadow biome is basically life that's so indistinguishable from the life that we know about that you don't even really know it's life when you look at it. Now, that's mostly on like a molecular level. They're talking about extremely, extremely small organisms that they didn't even realize they were alive for whatever reason. They couldn't detect them. So they call that a shadow biome, and they don't really share any characteristics with most of the life that we know about right now. Well, Gary Nolan had posited that maybe there was a shadow biosphere going on, but it was comprised of creatures larger than molecular life. You always hear about that, like not necessarily interdimensional or extraterrestrial, but the ultra-terrestrials. The life that it's from here, we just can't detect it most of the time. And then every once in a while it just pops out.
Now, is this suggesting that it's like, it's in our, not that it's in our dimension, but that it's
in our dimension.
Always around us?
The shadow,
we just can't see it or feel it.
The ultra-terrestrial thing is that it doesn't come from another dimension. It doesn't come from another planet. It's from here. It's from Earth.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, we can't detect it. And you hear everything from like cloaking technology to natural cloaking abilities to the fact that maybe and it's kind of hard to say, well, how could this be possible? Apparently, it's at least a possibility.
And we're not talking about something that's microscopic.
We're talking about something that's large, as big as you or me.
Yeah.
And that it exists. You just can't see it. You can't detect it. And that it's alive and it's from here. It stands on the, but it's undetectable 99% of the time. And that's been one of the things that's been posited. And now it kind of branches off into other stuff. Like, the hidden earth, the inner earth, subterranean life and stuff like that. The big hole that's in Antarctica. That could almost be considered a shadow biosphere because it's Earth, it's Earth life. We just don't know it's there.
Okay.
But Gary Nolan has been talking about how maybe some of this UAP and alien stuff, maybe it's not alien after all. Maybe it's from here. It's been here all along. It evolved on Earth. We just can't normally see it, and then you're like, well, does it allow us to get glimpses of it? Does occasionally just like the veil drop for a second? They think that a reason why a lot of these UAP sightings are going on right now is because a lot of the detection equipment on our ships and our airplanes have gotten improving. The new generation is picking them up, where in the past they could just move around with impunity.
So they might have always been passing in and out, passing by. It's just that we didn't have the technology really to sense that they were there.
At the extreme end of that hypothesis, there could literally be somebody standing next to me right here.
Okay.
Our eyes just can't, because we see in such a narrow wavelength.
Now, could that explain like hauntings,
shadow figures, stuff like that?
Shadow figures, hauntings.
But the extreme end of it is that they're standing right here, and maybe they're just a little bit faster than we are. So when I reach out my arm, well, to them, I'm just moving extremely slow, so they have no problem at all getting out of the way. So that could explain all sorts of crazy stuff.
That kind of reminds me of, it makes me think of where that person from the future was contacting people, or the person from the past was contacting those people through that computer in that old house. That time and space was kind of layered, and they were there in the same space, but not quite at the same time. But it was layered, so they were all in the same space at the same time. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. And it's for the life of me, I can't remember the name of that haunting. The guy was getting
England, didn't he?
The guy was getting, this is before computers were really in like common ownership. He brought home a school computer. The guy was a school teacher, and he starts getting messages through the computer basically asking, and it's conversing almost as if it's a somebody from the 16th century,
Okay.
from the 1500s. But it's got a weird little name, and it's the Dawdleston messages. That's what it's called.
Okay.
The Dawdleston messages. And this guy was getting messages off and on for like a few months of somebody communicating with him, basically saying that they could never figure out if it was a spirit that was there that just thought it was lost, or if somehow, and I'll have to pull up some
They
of
were
it.
communicating from the 16th century, but
Yes.
through a computer. So I wonder, like, what method they would be contacting people in the future through. It's kind of interesting. But then they started, like, the story started growing a lot, didn't it? Like,
Yeah,
there were other characters.
Oh, there was a few of them,
introduced,
and now people are going at the same time. It might have just been the fact that somebody, I don't know, somebody was just hoaxing them, doing whatever. But nobody knows whether they were talking across time or communicating with a spirit. I'm looking it up right now. There was 150 messages exchanged. They had ghost hunting groups that came in to check it out. But this was like back in the early days of like just home PCs. So it could have been very easily hoaxed and everything like that. But that's just one of those weirder fringe kind of things that has happened.
Mark Scott says, "Hey guys, when are you going into the field?" We are going into the fields soon. Again, we got back from the LBL, and I have mountains of footage to go through.
Yeah.
I also have to catch up with the footage I had from before we left for 8 days, because I've not done anything to do with editing footage while I was in the LBL, because we were out for 16 hours a day.
We would just come in, dump footage into some like external hard drives, and then back out we'd go. So
yeah, so we're trying to get through that. We're trying to parse through all that footage that we got from that and
early knife check.
Organize it.
Let's get it out of the way.
Oh, Jesus.
They're hitting early tonight. Usually it's James Barker that does this. I have a Cold Steel.
Oh, you brought that one out.
Yeah, I brought I have a Cold Steel Chris XL Voyager with a crisp blade on it. Actually, and you would be surprised, it's actually pretty practical. It's pretty useful blade shape. So you went the opposite route today. You carried something.
I got a sweet little Blurple Spyderco, kids. Look at that.
All right.
With that dark stonewash finish.
My goal is that I'm not.
What are you not
falling behind in chat today? It's not
your
happening.
goal.
It's not happening. Dave Holy, how are you, sir? I took a photo which shows something, but I can't say for sure what it is. I will say it's more than a shadow and brush. I was simply taking random photos and spotted it when I got home. Like to see it. David does a lot of field research. He's one of those people that goes out. He spends a lot of time in the field. He's a very honest, hardworking researcher. He's got a similar approach to a lot of this stuff as we do. So
he says the photo is taken in Southeast Oklahoma.
Lance Landmark, are you guys familiar with Dr. Stephen Greer? Yes, we are. I don't really know much about him. I never really had a lot of interest in the UFO field until the New York Times article came out and kind of did the exposure and really, where it kind of brought like.
We actually made a joke about that last night, that for you to say, oh, until the New York Times article came out, I didn't really give it a lot of credence. But
I'm familiar with him. I remember the Disclosure Project that he did, where he had everybody came and testified in front of the Washington Press Corps. I know he does the CE5. That's one of the things Jesse and I are kind of like split on. I think that you're going out somewhere, you're getting into a meditative state, you're doing prescribed ritualistic actions, and you're kind of basically beaming intent out, and then you get a response. To me, that's like conjuration. That's like summoning something,
Yeah.
And
I mean, it basically is. Yeah. It's and I think so too. But I'm comfortable with doing something like that. You and I also have different ways of approaching everything, as everybody knows that, when the light showed up during a burning light, I was going to run right at it, and you were going to not, so you had to stop me from running at it. But like, I'm interested in CE5. I'm interested in trying to make contact and trying to seek that out. And I do that with my paranormal work as well, is looking to seek it out instead of just observing from afar.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if there was more. Okay. Steve Causey says, did you guys come in contact with anything while in LBL this trip? I saw that figure again. So if you remember from the werewolf experiment series we did last year when we went to the LBL, Joe and I both saw at separate occasions, we both saw some sort of creature, some sort of thing. I don't even know how to
Yeah.
describe it, but it was blacker than black. The limbs were abnormally long and seems like they almost had too many joints to them, and it walked with such a strange gait. But it was physical because it sort of interacted with its environment, but you just catch glimpses of it. We both saw it at separate occasions. I saw it when we first found that ripped up tent, and then Joe saw it when we came back up from the lake after going to the metal building.
And she's kind of downplaying it right now because she had a very visceral response to what happened. I mean, when you, and I think I caught it on camera.
The first or the second time?
Well, the second time, because you just basically lean against a tree.
Yeah, I hadn't gotten to that yet.
Get teary-eyed, and it's crazy. So
yeah, so on this trip to the LBL, I think we mentioned it last week, but we'll mention it again. We actually found another tent in the LBL it's a similar circumstance to the first tent that we found, where there's like ripping done to the tent. The person's effects are strewn about the woods there, and then the person is completely gone, but everything that they had is still there. This one is a little more shocking because it looks like this person was a homeless person, and that everything they ever had left was there
still
as
there,
well.
yeah.
So that it looked like something terrible happened to this person, but we were investigating this, and we're
okay, keep going.
okay.
So
we were investigating this, and then I go up on the hill. Joe's kind of looking around, and I see this dark figure kind of moving off in the distance, and it just flashes by very quickly. But it was the same type of figure that we saw last year when we were there in that immediate area. But I saw that, and I had a very visceral response. I had a huge adrenaline dump, and it scared the crap out of me. Joe was like trying to check on me. He made me sit against a tree, and I'm like almost in tears, and I couldn't really breathe, and I was really having a difficult time getting through it. But it was very odd. But that was other than we got some really crazy audio.
Mm-hmm.
You saw a figure when we were heading into the area where Martin's attack happened. You saw a figure that kind of dove into where the dry creek bed was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we had some weird kind of interactions, I guess you could call them, at our last trip to the LBL. But you guys will see that all later on. Okay. But you can go ahead and do what you're doing.
We're falling behind. So, hi, strangers. Joe, seeing as you're looking into scientifically, what about biblically? If we're near end times, could we be thinking certain cryptids into existence if the veil is thinning? That's a lot to unpack in that. Yeah, because it is the two don't have to be mutually opposite. They don't have to. It can't just be one or the other. We look at it scientifically, but you can't also deny the fact that it seems like everything's kind of building up. Everything's kind of becoming more active. There's a lot of parallels to what's described in the Bible in the final days as to what we're starting to experience right now. And yeah, I mean, that's something that we look into. A good friend of ours, Cryptid Response, he takes a very religious look at this, and we lean on him a lot. He's kind of the Hellbent Holler resident Bible scholar. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Anything that has a religious bend to it, we'll usually lean on him pretty heavy there. Steve Montero, have you gotten a drone yet? Now the drone's way down on the list of stuff we're going to get. I'm a horrible drone pilot. A man's got to know his limitations.
Yeah.
Martin Groves.
Lady Wolf, thank you for that. Thank you so much.
Wolf.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I didn't know if you're blasting through.
No. I'm just trying to thank you for that, Lady Wolf. Yeah, we greatly appreciate that. So that ties in what we're talking about. We're looking into here over the next couple of months, trying to upgrade our night vision, our psionics thing. That's going to be pretty pricey the way we want to do it. So that's where you probably won't see any new equipment until that gets accomplished. We're kind of squirreling away a little bit of back at a time for that. But you'll probably see a drone. You might see a drone this year. I don't know.
Hopefully, we don't have any high winds and
Yeah.
trees interacting with it. And
Martin Groves is in the house. Martin, do a
hello.
wellness check on the Deuster. Usually the Deuster's in here by now. So hopefully he's the Deuster, our friend Dewey Edwards unveiled that badass like side by side that he did up. Bright red with the Ghostbusters emblem on it and everything
It's a
like that.
tactical golf cart is what
Tactical
it
golf
is.
cart. So yeah.
It's tactical golf cart.
Blondes and Booze, Bryce Edwards, people starting to roll in. So
Would you like to handle the middle and I'll go down to the bottom?
yeah, go all the way to the bottom. Ryan Holloway, I've heard that people sometimes see something with Dogman like a little creature. Anyone know if any truth is to that? Now, the one case I know about that is Scott Carpenter's photo that he says has a Dogman in it. It seems like it's got a little entity on its shoulder. Some of the, I think it was like Fort Pierce, Florida, if I'm getting the location right, where a guy named Blue actually filmed something running past his backyard that people have said it's cigarette smoke, and I don't see cigarette smoke. I can't say what it is, but it doesn't look like cigarette smoke.
That's such a weird thing to say. That
it is. It's very weird, and I actually saw that as when it happened. But he's taken some photos that seem to suggest that that it looks like a Dogman, or Dogman like, and it looks like there's like a little entity on it. I don't know. I mean, that opens up a whole other kettle of fish. If they're coming out with like smaller creatures like that, what's going on? What sort of, is that like a symbiotic relationship? Is it kind of,
so, well, I mean, you can think about it. Maybe, in Martin Grove's story, that it seems like the Dogman was interacting with the Sasquatch and working together. Maybe there's something else we don't know about, which is kind of disturbing.
Enzo, seems like that would be hard to sharpen. Yeah, you got to use stick sharpener with it. You can't use a flat stone. I mean, you could, but it's going to be difficult to do. So,
Martin Grove says, hello, the Deuster is working hard on his new UFO book. Okay. So that's where he is. Sorry, I'm trying to sneak in there. You're getting them so fast.
I'm not falling behind, man. I am.
Well, if you want to do them all, then you can do them all.
I'm not doing them all. I'm just trying to catch up. James Barker and the LBL, the story for the law enforcement presence was hog eradication. How much hog sign have you seen? I know Dewey posted some pics, but anything else? You see hog sign in there. But month and a half ago, they claimed that they had captured and removed 350 hogs and said that all the hogs were basically gone. And of course, hogs are pretty tricky to eradicate. They breed very quickly. There's a lot of places for them to hide there. I just don't know how you go from thinking they're all gone to having the giant response that we saw for the amount of helicopters, explosions, gunshots, personnel, and the area that they shut down. Freaking 5,000 hogs down there, man. And you don't see that level of.
And they did issue a statement saying that they handled the hog problem, and then it was done shortly before this massive eradication effort that took place while we were present.
Yeah. So here's the deal. It's all fishy. You start having a lot of, do they do hog eradication in the LBL? By all means, they supposedly do. Are hogs a problem and they need to be removed from areas that they're being, destructive in? Absolutely. You kind of had to be there on the ground to see it and experience it. And all of us that were there all walked away saying the exact same thing. Something weird's going on here.
Yeah.
So, and I know that people were saying, oh, it was just hog eradication. It happens all the time. It does happen all the time. I mean, I can't say it happens all the time, but it happens in there supposedly. But none of it made sense. And I don't care who says what that wasn't there on the ground, and they can quote anything they want to. It was really suspicious.
And the way it was handled was suspicious. The way that they answered questions was suspicious. But yes, it was very fishy. I just wanted to pop on real quick. Todd Hall, thank you for that super chat.
Best show on the tubes.
Best show on the tubes. Love the way y'all interact with everyone. Keep it up.
We've talked about doing like a topical live stream because we were doing Dark Dive for a while. And we're going to get back to that, where we would come in and discuss a subject. And we've talked about doing that on the lives, but it's generally just better to kind of interact with the chat and see what people got to say and let that kind of steer the conversation. So
Jay Myers says, what thermal do y'all use and want to upgrade to? I'm pretty happy with the thermal that I use. I use the AGM right now. It's a Taipan is the one that I use. I think the Taipan. I'm very happy with that one. Joe uses the Pulsar, and
I use a Pulsar Action XQ38. I'd really like to upgrade eventually to one of those top of the line Helions, but what are those even run nowadays, man? Let's see. They're pretty insanely expensive.
But we're really rough on equipment because we're out in the woods all the time. It rains, like it rains, and our equipment's out in the rain, so we have to kind of get it put away really quickly. I'd be so worried about having
like a $10,000
thermal.
But that'd be awesome, though, man.
That would be awesome.
It would be awesome.
I get a really good image with my AGM that I have right now, and I'm happy with it for its versatility. It's mobile, and it's not quite as expensive as those top of the line thermals. So I feel a lot better about being out in the woods with one of those.
Pork and Beans. Martin Groves got your new book in Reddit. Very good, sir. Great read. Do you know what my favorite part of Martin Groves' new book is?
What is that?
It's the last chapter.
Jesus Christ. You're in a mood today.
I'm telling you, man.
You are in
lack of sleep. So yeah.
You know what it is? It's that haircut.
It's that haircut.
So the last chapter.
Don't even go into it. Let them discover it on their own.
Okay.
So, anyway. Moving on down. Blondes and Booze. I have a friend that does CE5. I plan on going this spring with her. Jesse's talked about doing CE5, and I think that I got weird views though compared to a lot of people here. I think that gifting is basically you're making offerings to something.
So you see it all as some sort of occult ritual, in a way.
I'm just saying that there, if you can't ignore the parallels that are there.
Yes, of course.
If we were back in the 13th century and there was a hairy being with somewhat supernatural abilities that lived in the forest, and you were leaving food and shiny little rocks out for it, you're making offerings to something. You're making offerings. Now we call it gifting. And then if you were to sit around and meditate and project your intentions, and all of a sudden strange lights started to appear in the sky, to me, you summoned that. That's a summoning thing. What do you don't know what these lights are. All you know is that they're strange lights that weren't there before until you did this ritualistic activity, and now there's lights there. And you don't know what the lights are, and you can think that they're your star brothers that have come to impart wisdom upon you, but you don't know what. Maybe every time somebody does CE5, some opening gets a little bit bigger, and whatever is coming through is a little bit easier to go through the next time. You know what I'm saying? So
Martin Gross followed up with what you said by saying the last chapter is truly the best one. Daryl Denton says Bart and Enley saw hog tracks all around Saturday. We saw where a bunch of hogs had tore up the area near Cedar Pond. So there is definitely a hog sign in the
there's hogs.
So there's definitely hogs there.
But you take out 350 and you say you got the problem licked, and that's a very definitive statement. And then you're down there with multiple helicopters and everything that was going on. Yeah, it was wild. So
War Criminal 7 says, Joe, the last chapter featured some fly-by-night bums.
Yeah, it was just a couple of schlubs. So, all right. Lance Landmark, he's talking about the eyes that were behind you that time. Remember when we left you alone in that clearing?
Yes.
We didn't even realize that till we got home, and we were looking at it.
I was going over the footage and I saw it. That video is when the hunter becomes the hunted. We didn't see those until we were going over the footage. What's really shocking about that video is there's so much that happens in such a short amount of time in that video. It's like 38 minutes long or something like that.
Yeah,
45 minutes long.
And then the flash that we catch that seems like it just comes out of the ground. That light that just seems
there was a flash. That's the one where we thought somebody was up at our campsite with the lights. That's also the one where we saw the freaking wolf thing.
Yeah.
And I stepped in poo
3 times. Stepped in poo 3 times.
Yeah.
So, all right. People talking about Stephen Greer.
So he asked if that was grip. That's just gripping. How did that make you feel knowing that was close to you? It freaked us out. Like, it really freaked me out because I was there by myself. Joe went off like far away.
So let me interrupt you here because Jesse reviews hours of like footage before she does a video. Her eyes glaze over. I mean, if we're out for like 16 hours, that's usually 30, 40, sometimes more hour, because sometimes we're running multiple cameras, thermals and all that. She was sitting there and we're kind of watching it together and she goes, "Oh, what's that?" And, you know, she's probably 8 hours in on video that time. And
I probably a lot longer.
yeah, and we rewound it and looked at it, and we're both just kind of leaning in closer and closer and closer. And then I'm like, we slow it down, and it's not fireflies, it's eyes, man. I mean, I try to shy away from making really definitive pronouncements like that, but these were eyes, and they just come in, stop, kind of look at her, and then poof, back off. And just her face when she saw that, her jaw drops and turns around to me. Because that was literally right behind her. I mean, you were in the pitch black at that point. You know?
Yeah. I mean, you went a distance away and that was right behind me. That was right there. You could see it.
And they were disembodied eyes, because you could make out a little bit of the leaves behind her from that tree in the IR light. And there was no body there, just two disembodied eyes. It was crazy. So, and it's weird because people don't usually talk about that. And that's one of the craziest things we've ever caught, I think.
Because it was so close to me.
Yeah, it was so close to you. So.
Every time I go to get one, you jump in. I
didn't jump in. Go.
I'm
go.
scared here.
I'm trying to keep up. Go.
I know that you're a man on a mission.
I'm a man on a mission.
Yeah.
I was like an hour and a half behind in chat last week, man. It's unacceptable.
Okay, so now we're gonna barrel through it.
We're gonna barrel through it, but this is all waiting for this comment right here. Did y'all get the donkey yet?
No, we do not have a freaking donkey. There's a farm down the road from us that has donkeys, and every time I pass by it, I'm like, Joe, just waiting for us.
All we gotta do is cut that fence. Just take one. So.
Sorry.
Excuse me. Pollen has like wrecked havoc with us this week, guys. Our cars are already yellow.
We almost got in an accident at the car wash because people were
just
crazy.
They're just mobbing it. So.
All right, I'm trying to go back here. Gunpowder Owl says, if y'all are thinking that the paranormal cryptids are interdimensional or spiritual, might it be time to switch to carrying 45s instead of 10 millimeter? We all know that 45 ends body and soul both. I think we're gonna stick with 10 mil. And actually, Martin gave us blessed like several boxes.
We got Martin Groves gave us blessed 10 millimeter ammunition that he had. He had it blessed. He put holy water. I mean, he like did. You know, like the movies where like the guy knows that there's like vampires in his hometown and nobody believes him, and the vampires are just picking people off one by one. And that final scene when he's like preparing to go out and fight them, that's how I imagine Martin Groves preparing these bullets. You know what I'm saying? He's having them blessed by a priest, putting holy water, white ash on them. But yeah, we've got what, 200 rounds now?
I think so.
Yeah, we have back. It's literally it's the equivalent of break glass in case of emergency. So, all right.
I always wanted to build one of those, like those, you see those fake Victorian vampire hunting kits. Yeah. It'd be cool to build like a werewolf hunting kit, dogman hunting kit. We'll have officially licensed Hellbent Holler werewolf hunting kits. That would be kind of cool.
Lady Wolf, some of them are talking about Blue from Fort Pierce, that dogman footage that we saw. That was somebody who's not really into this sort of stuff. And it started happening to him and he's putting out photos and you can just tell he's kind of mystified. And yeah, that was really, he flipped out when he caught whatever that was going past. I don't even know if that was a dog man or not, but I do know that it doesn't look like cigarette smoke. And it wasn't a horse that got out or an ostrich or some of the other stuff that we usually hear about.
Martin Groves said, Father John, bless those bullets.
Tell Father John, thank you for us. So, all right.
And the Deuster is watching. He's just watching on the TV at home and not in the chat. So the Deuster is present. So guys,
everybody take a deep breath and relax.
Take a deep breath and relax. The Deuster's in the house. Skywalker was asking, when are y'all coming back to the LBL?
When we do, we're not telling anybody.
Yeah, we're gonna keep that under wraps after the fiasco.
After that fiasco, you guys will know about it. We were even thinking about maybe on the last night we would do like a live stream and do something and then go, peace, we're out. I don't even know if we want to do that right now.
Yeah.
We'll probably when we go back to the LBL, we'll let people know when we're free and clear and back home at that point. And we're gonna like go in disguise when we go back.
We're gonna have mustaches.
Those like fake glasses with the nose and the mustache.
The Groucho Marx.
Groucho Marx, man, we'll carry those. So
they'll never see us coming.
Lady Wolf also, we're following up that with she was told there was no hog hunt, but a wounded dog man pursuit from Bumpus Mills. We were seeing all the weird activity, and then somebody, when we came back in to like do an equipment, basically recharge and clean up, and we got back into, we had decent signal. We got those messages from people saying this was going on, and that's when we started kind of maybe putting two and two together. But Martin Groves is looking into the Bumpus Mills stuff, so he will get to the bottom of whether or not something was there. So
it was just weird that was coming out right at the same time we had such a presence of outside federal law enforcement come into the LBL, and we were there.
Mm-hmm.
We were on the ground, and we were seeing all of these outside agencies come in and just flood the peninsula. And then obviously they were doing some sort of eradication.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know if it was hog eradication. That's what they say it is, but it was obviously a huge effort. They were shutting down different areas of the peninsula. It's just odd that story came out at the same time. It could be coincidental or it could be related. We don't know. But like Joe said, Martin Groves is looking into the possibility that is a legitimate thing.
Stephen Taylor. Hi, what's up, Stephen? Any plans on going to Adams, Tennessee and doing research? Is there anything going on in Adams, Tennessee?
Adams, Tennessee is the location of the Bell Witch Cave. So eventually I'd love to go do like we've been to the Bell Witch Cave before. Eventually I'd like to do an actual investigation there. But they keep a good little lid on that. Dewey Edwards is actually the man to talk to about the history of the Bell Witch Cave and the Bell's Farm. But
I'm just going to put that up with Sheila Evelyn. I'm going to be right back because I agree with her 100%.
Okay. But yeah, so I would love to go check that out. I'd like to go do like a full scale investigation there, possibly do an overnight there in the cave. And I think that would be really cool. I think the only people that have done like a real hardcore investigation there, I know televised was Ghost Adventures. So, and that wasn't, super fantastic, but
having a massive coughing attack. The pollen is officially going to kill us. So, all right.
I was just talking about the Bell Witch Cave, so I'm not saying the name. Lance Landmark says, what happened at Bumpus Mills? Allegedly it's kind of a story going around right now in the up and down the grapevine, but apparently there was an attack by a dog man. Killed dogs, attacked this woman's dogs, killed them, and the police were dispatched and actually shot it and injured it, but it was not killed, and then it allegedly made its way to the LBL, right?
So, yeah, Martin Groves is looking into it. Our friend Stephen Taylor actually lives in that area, and he's been kind of beating the bushes a little bit, trying to find out what's going on.
So far, he's just found barbecue.
So far, well, he didn't even get the barbecue.
Didn't even get the barbecue. Right. That's the real tragedy. Shelly Vidal says, as far as the CE5 experience, I'm just blown away with these people are having healing experience. That makes me think of, if you guys watched David Paulides' latest documentary, that fellow who gets abducted when he's elk hunting, and he had tuberculosis scars on his lungs. The only reason they basically dropped him back off in the wilderness there is because he had a vasectomy. But they didn't want him for some reason after that. So there's like this theory of that it's sort of like a hybridization program is involved in that. But what's interesting is when they did drop him off and left him there, his tuberculosis scars on his lungs were completely gone. So it seems like they have the ability to possibly heal people. And
they couldn't heal that vasectomy, so they couldn't heal the vasectomy. There's a line drawn somewhere.
Yeah, it's very strange, isn't it?
Yeah. And let's unpack that for a second. I mean, because you can reverse vasectomies fairly easily.
Yeah.
You can't.
I think so. I've never tried.
But... that's within the realm of our medical technology.
Correct.
So they couldn't reverse a vasectomy, but they could heal scarring on his lungs.
That our medicine could not heal.
They could regenerate new tissue, basically, but they couldn't reverse a vasectomy.
Yes.
So that's weird.
That is
and
weird.
That's something that just dawned on me right now as we were talking about it.
That's an odd thing.
It's an odd thing.
So they couldn't pop in there and reconnect.
So that tells you that either the vasectomy was not why they rejected him.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. That's just odd.
Like you've mentioned before, it's just what their realm of understanding of humanity is so weird and skewed, is what it seems like. That they would. You even mentioned before that with this particular incident, that his scars were healed on his lungs, but they dropped him from a great height when
they just say,
when they brought him back.
We're going to heal you and then kick you out the side of the craft.
And he was a little beat up from that. So it's I don't know. That is something to think about.
Everybody talking about silver ammunition.
Marcus Aurelius says, "Is LBL the scariest place you've ever investigated?" Yeah. No, probably Panther Town. Panther Town was terrifying. Because that was one of our early investigations. We never filmed that or anything like that. That's actually what inspired us to start filming our investigations, was the terrifying experience we had at Panther Town Valley.
People will buy the Dogman hunting kit, but it better contain a bottle of that Dogman piss whiskey.
Well, how else are we going to?
How else are we going to move those things off the shelf?
Yeah, we're sitting on at least 500 gallons of Dogman piss whiskey right now that we've got to get out the door. So that's got to be a free gift.
James Barker is going to learn how to reload shot shells so I can make you some silver buckshot with black salt wadding.
Sometimes we'll carry black salt with us. When we've carried holy water and black salt with us, it seems like the activity just completely stops.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that one night because we usually leave that in the car, and I actually had it in a backpack, and we didn't have anything happen. And then I got back home and we were packing our packs out, and I realized I was walking around with like black salt and holy water all night long.
Yeah.
And we were just like, coincidence or?
Yeah, it's like if you are. People will talk about if they're experiencing an alien or a UFO encounter and they start praying and it stops. And you mentioned this too, that, that could be a factor in that. Take Two Wheels says, so many choppers going by when you guys were there. I saw a lot of unusual government vehicles today.
And that's a guy who's on the scene. He lives there.
Yes, he is. He's actually at the LBL on a regular basis. So I don't know. That's so weird because the place has been completely abandoned by any sort of law enforcement or federal officials.
And then we have
so long
hogs who are, you can see them there, but they're not ripping everything.
Right. I mean, you would expect there to be way more damage. And we've been everywhere. Like, not everywhere, but we've been all over. All we do the entire time we're there is just travel through there. We hike through there. We go to areas where people aren't usually at. So that's how we found that campground that was completely wrecked. And it looks like it was completely covered up. That's how we found that, is we go to these areas where people don't generally go or don't usually go. And we hike all over, and we just like wander through the woods and hike these areas. And we only saw a hog sign in a couple of spots,
mostly in the southern end.
And it was mostly in the southern end, and it was also closer to roads too.
Skywalker's a new subscriber. Thank you for subscribing. Where are you guys from? Where are you from, Jesse?
I'm originally from Haywood County, North Carolina. So that's Western North Carolina, Waynesville area. I grew up right outside the boundary of the Pisgah National Forest. And I moved to New Orleans when I was turned 18. And then I moved back up to the Southern Appalachian region, and we started Hellbent Holler. Yeah. Joseph is from Virginia.
Up near the West Virginia border.
Yeah.
Oxcara, is it possible they were reducing the cryptid population in the LBL after the hogs were exterminated? I don't think they were killing the hogs. I think that they were doing something else. I think that they were using, if you've listened to Barton Nunley's channel, he has that wildlife biologist that's come forward and said that the hogs are a food source for whatever is living in the LBL or whatever is sometimes inhabiting the LBL. And as we were talking, we were going, if they had introduced hogs there, well, it serves a twofold purpose now. It's a food source, and it gives them an excuse to
come in there and
blow crap up, shoot a bunch of guns, fly helicopters around, shut down roads.
Yeah.
And then the guys, the normal, forestry service or, BLM guys, the rank and file, are just at these barricades going, they're doing a hog hunt. Who's doing it? Some company, I don't know.
Yeah,
Just
but that's an easy out. That's
Yeah.
a really easy out.
Dead Yard Hunt.
For the donkey fund.
For the donkey fund.
Yeehaw.
I'm going to get somebody in a really, really lifelike donkey mask sometime.
Ooh.
To just,
maybe just stop it there, Maybe, maybe they don't need to hear about the rest of what you got planned.
Come up behind us, you know what I'm saying? Like in one interview, and people will be like, "It's the donkey."
Oh God.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Martin Nunley is in.
Shit. Okay.
Sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay.
Go. Your turn.
No.
Just hit something. I'll bring the show to a halt.
You are bringing it to a halt. Okay. M says, has there been anyone who reported seeing them bring any large number of feral hogs out of the LBL? That was something we were discussing while we were there. They apparently, when Martin Groves asked them about that, they said that they were shooting them and letting them lie. We're having hundreds of hogs being shot and they are rotting there in the sun.
And then we go in and look where they were at and there ain't nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing, because we went right to where we heard a lot of gunshots the day before. And so we went down in there and there was nothing out there. There was no evidence that they were in there like shooting groups of hogs or anything like that. We were up and down. We did not see truckloads of corpses coming out. We didn't see truckloads of dead hogs coming out of there.
So one of the theories is that people are taking hogs into the LBL and releasing them to organize hunts on some sort of weird hunter's black, the black web, the dark web. Remember that? So they were organizing these hunts on the dark web, which only hunters can access. So you've got some good old boy from like rural Kentucky who's navigating the dark web.
He's got
to pay for these high-priced feral hog hunts in the LBL. And then people were saying, well, people have been arrested all the time for doing that. I looked it up. Nobody's been arrested for doing that. They talk in the articles about if we catch you releasing wild hogs, we will arrest you. But nowhere is there going.
There have been 3 arrests today
for releasing wild hogs.
For these underground hog hunts.
And then meanwhile, Bart Nunley's, let's call him the source. His source says that they're taking them in there and the government released them to use for food because the deer are suffering from chronic wasting. And we actually we saw those deer that looked like they were missing eyes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
There was one that was right off the side of the road that was missing an eye. It was really creepy because we like to flashlight stuff and we see he was missing one eye. But go on.
I just wanted to highlight this one for you.
I have not heard about that yet. We will check that out. If you have a link to that, you could probably email that to us. You can email that to us at the address below. It's hellbentholler@gmail.com. You are welcome to email us a link to that story.
And we are insanely behind on emails right now.
We are. Yes. We're doing our best.
So
that show last night went a lot longer than I thought it was. That I thought it would, but I had a great time on it,
That was good stuff, man. So.
Yeah, but we do get behind. It's a two-person thing, and we are doing our best on it.
The butler's off this week, so
the butler.
Letitia Nunley has popped into the chat. Hello, Letitia. We have both Nunleys. Kim Drescher has a good one. Chris Bledsoe is an interesting character and one that everyone should investigate. That whole Bledsoe. And I'm not going to get into it all here. Those of you know, and those of you who don't can go and look at it because it's a pretty multi-layered type story. But the Bledsoes had an encounter, and they are really kind of considered by a lot of the people who were kind of movers and shakers on the government end of like that weird UAP researcher government, intersection, to be extremely credible. And it's taken a couple of weird turns with the Bledsoes, but they've been able to take some odd photographs. There's a lot of stuff going on with the Bledsoes, definitely. And it's weird because it's you would think that they would be discussed a lot more than what they are, but they're really not. So
Paramedic says Panther Town. I thought the Cougar Town bar was scary.
Oh, that's our chat. So there we go. James Walker says that in my thing, as far as like, why didn't they fix the vasectomy? They don't like to touch the dangly bits. So
Jesus Christ. Sugi says next day, unrecognizable SWAT team came in and retrieved the dead dogman body from a neighbor's property, threatening to shoot anyone, including the sheriff's department, who tried to stop them from taking it.
If that's the case, there's a guy on it who will figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So Martin Groves will get to the answers down there.
Why didn't they? Oh, so never mind.
So Eva goes, please go back to Panther Town and take us. You know, we get into some pretty sketchy, find ourselves in some sketchy situations sometimes.
We do.
There's two places that we want to go back, but we just logistically are having a hard time figuring out how to do it. It's Panther Town and Corpsewood Manor. So
yeah,
we'd like to go, but it's logistically, it's very difficult to do. Some of these areas that have like really weird activity, and this may not be the case everywhere. I'm just speaking for our little region in the South. You have areas that seem to have like out of the ordinary type activity, physical hauntings, like whatever. They always seem to attract a shady human element that is
pretty consistently. Yeah, we've discovered that.
Yeah. And matter of fact, so much so that there was an area we were going to go look into that was having some sightings of something like Dogman, Sasquatch, something. And then we're like researching the area and we're finding out that people who are going into the area, I guess there's like a nearby little used like hiking trail. Remember, everybody was having their cars disabled.
Oh,
they were coming back and like their cars were just smashed all up. Now, we don't think it was like any like a beast doing it or anything like that. But it seemed like that there were people that were out there literally upset that outsiders were in that area and were disabled in their vehicles.
They were drilling holes through the gas
tanks, all sorts, flattening all the tires, smashing the windshields out.
The holes through the gas tank I remember that was crazy. Freddie Baker says, why don't you hear a lot about UFO in the LBO? When we did our live stream at the LBL that day, we caught what you could be considered a UFO, a UAP, an unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Especially that one that split off into different colors.
Yeah,
that was got above the treetops.
I think with the LBL, there's just so much going on there. There's it seems like that there's like spectral hauntings, like paranormal activity going on there. It seems like there's Sasquatch activity, Dogman activity. I think there's obviously UFO type activity as well, but it seems like the prominent stories really take lead in a lot of that. But those prominent stories are also kind of a gateway drug for people to start researching all the strange happenings that are going on in the LPL. You just don't hear a lot about it, but if you look into it, you'll start seeing that there's a lot of instances of people experiencing really, really, really strange stuff out there.
The best way to find out stuff like this is because obviously Dogman and especially that 1982 massacre dominates the discussion of the LBO. There's so much more going on there than that. Stuff that I don't even really know how I would put a label on it. But if you want to get some really good information for it, don't get on like Facebook Dogman groups and don't get on stuff like that. Go onto local news stories and start reading the comments section local to that area. Go into hiking or hunting or fishing or overlanding or geocaching forums and message boards and everything like that, and look for people to discussing just the weird stuff that happens to them while they're out just doing a normal outdoor activity. And these are people that don't believe in, and they may or may not believe, but they're not obsessed with this sort of stuff like a lot of us are. You hear a lot of UFO stuff then. People talking about seeing lights come out of the water, the lakes near there, lights flitting around, so you do hear a lot about that.
So Scott Dolly says, did you see the Proving Demons video that mentioned you guys?
No. Like 8 people have mentioned that to us.
Tell me what video.
Because we're vain as hell. We'll watch anything that like talks about us. And that's God's honest truth. Somebody had said it. We watched the most recent one and we didn't see or hear us in there. And they put out a lot of content. So we were chipping away a little bit at a time.
But if you could tell us what episode that was.
Give us a link. Give us the title of it. Anything like that. We'd greatly appreciate it.
You can send the link to hellbentholler@gmail.com, or just put it over here in the chat, put it in the chat and let us know. Cause I'd love to know. I'd like to see it. Southern Sasquatch, $5 for the donkey fund. What's this donkey fund?
This donkey's getting closer $5 at a time, man. So every $5
goodness.
You can help a poor starving donkey live in our backyard.
Oh my God. The cattle ride it.
Ronald Johns, do you think the noise you kept hearing on the LBL was subterranean? That weird how would you even describe that? It wasn't a hum, a rumble.
It's like a rumble because
Yeah,
it's
like a rumble.
deeper.
I think so. I think it was subterranean.
It had a mechanical whir kind
to
of
it, and you kind
rumble
of
to
felt
it.
it a little bit, you know.
Yeah. You can hear it in those videos that we took in that area.
Yeah.
You can hear it on, I mean, that's how loud it is that you can hear it in those videos while we're walking around in that particular area. Now we don't hear it all over the peninsula. We don't hear that rumble and that noise all over the peninsula. We just hear it kind of in that northern area where we were.
Yeah. And then when we left to try to go towards the dam, thinking it was that, we lost the noise.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
Yeah. We were all over the dam too.
Stingray 1975.
Hello, Stingray 1975.
Not today. Is it Saban or Saban? We always say
I think it's Saban.
Saban, Satan, but maybe it's Saban. I don't know.
Saban. It's a football thing.
It's a football thing. How do you guys feel about the announcement of orangoid intelligence? They have seen orangutans. Basically, there's a theory that orangutans and certain other primates are entering the Stone Age because they're starting to become tool users.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, isn't it? So,
I mean, I've seen videos of chimps using, skewers to get termites.
But now they're and I think that's what he's referring to, unless there's something that I've missed. But yeah, orangutans are starting to, the orangutans are rebuilding rockets before the next thing you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Raj Morris says the air ought to be full of buzzards. Talking about the dead hogs being left in the LBL. There are tons of buzzards there, and they were not gathering around certain areas at all.
And here's the deal too. So what do you do with the dead hogs? We just leave them where they lie. We heard there's so much wrong with the story. So many gunshots, explosions, these helicopters. They're in a wooded area supposedly, and yeah, they might have had thermal. And I understand that, but it with the amount of ordnance that was going off, you would think hogs would be stacked to high heaven there,
Yeah.
And nothing at all. But we're seeing these trucks. That some of them were carrying equipment. You don't know what was under that equipment.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what was under that equipment. So maybe they were shooting stuff and then hauling them out right in front of us.
Jay Myers says it's a $3,500 fine if you're caught transporting hogs.
There's a joke there that I'm just too tired right now to really kind of
if you
low-hanging fruit, man.
You go too late to the Cougar Bar, you'll be transporting some hogs home. Hey, Grace W. for the Hellbender Hollercopter fund.
The helicopter.
How am I going to put all of this on my taxes?
Yeah, no doubt. $5 donkey fund, $10 Hollercopter fund, and the IRS guy is going, what is this? Are these guys they're with the cartel? I know they are. This is all code for something.
They're talking about barges. The barge will really trigger it.
Good Lord, man. If they do a keyword search for cocaine, it's our live streams are just going to just break whatever instrument they're using to flag.
They are hauling cocaine on donkeys, hogs, barges. They've just got this network.
Something about helicopters. They're very well connected, obviously. So, and so it begins. Cocaine dark web hunter. Yeah, and Shelley Vidal talking about the smell. Yeah, there was no piles of dead hogs down there.
What the fuck? I live super close to an underwater alien base.
I bet you do, buddy.
It's very nonchalant.
Yeah, Blue House, hang a right at the underground alien base.
Underwater alien base. Actually, Tony Champagna says the LBL Campagna. The LBL website calls the area an outdoorsman's paradise and a natural playground. Have you guys ever come across vacationers? Yes. So there are several campgrounds at the LBL that are nice family-friendly campgrounds that are great places to go camping.
And usually those people that tell us, I'm at the LBL all the time and I've never seen anything strange. Where do you go to in the LBL? I go to
blah 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 campground.
Blah 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 campground. We love it there.
Yeah.
We go to see the bison.
Yeah. So this is all, they have the bison field. They have a 1850s working farm there. They have a planetarium. It is a functioning park.
Functioning, stretching it.
But it's only in these little areas, these little pockets where they have this stuff set up and where it's functional. The peninsula is huge. The peninsula is absolutely huge, and most of it is pretty much left to the wilderness and left to, go back to the natural state. And so there's a lot of stuff that there's a lot of people that get up to no good in those areas, but there's also a lot of weird stuff that goes on in those areas that are not highly populated. Lance Landmark says, where is Panther Town? That's in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Kim Drescher is mentioning that Chris Bledsoe's new book, UFO of God, is awesome.
No.
Think outside of with the title. It is mind-blowing. I didn't even know he had a book out. Thank you for letting me know on that. So
Paul M says the stories of snipers and helos hunting the LBL hogs goes back a few years. Every year the story is put out in the papers when they'll be conducted. So this could have been going on for a while. This could be, I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting little bit.
Yeah, he says it's gone in the last 4 or 5 years with maybe something to compare to. And I also wonder if the scale is to the same level that we saw when we were there, because even the people that were working there were kind of taken aback by it. I mean, that poor girl at the information center, we were trying to grill her just to see if she'd slip up and say something,
Yeah.
acting like just dumbass, like tourist hikers. Well, can we go here? And she was just like, I don't know. This is really weird, and so it'd be interesting to see if it was done anything like that at all. So
Gunpowder Owl says, didn't Joe see a woman in a white dress apparition in the LBL? Joe did see a woman in white in the LBL.
I didn't make that connection at first, though, because she was very gray. And I know you're going to go gray, white. What's the difference? I just didn't make that connection because it was I don't see a lot of ghosts. I don't really go out primed for seeing, or whatever you want to call it, apparition, spirit, whatever. It was very much took me aback. And I think you can tell in that video just that I was just kind of dumbfounded by what I saw. And first I'm trying to like kind of explain it away. And then I'm just like, no, I mean, it's burned into I can still picture her. If I could draw, I could just draw it for you right now. Just that look of just hatred coming off. And we've talked about it before. We found where somebody had been using the cemetery nearby as like a latrine. They'd been pooping in the cemetery. And we tried to clean it up as best we could with what we had, and we made a dent in it. But my first thought is that somebody has come out here at night to visit like their relative's grave, and they've seen it desecrated, basically.
Yeah.
And we're the only people there, and they're assuming it's us. Now, all that, by the time that's filtering through my mind, before I get done with that thought, she's gone. So.
Melody says, was the LBL originally Indian land? Yes, it was. We also, Joe and I found near where Martin had his attack, we found what appears to be evidence of a man-made earthwork that was used possibly during, what was the Indian Wars?
Yeah, we don't know. And it doesn't look like a natural
at all. It's in a half circle. It's like a half circle
connecting
formation.
2 hills, and it maybe makes this little bowl, and it makes a defensive position.
And it's very steep on one side that goes straight down into a creek, and then it has a gentle slope on the other side.
So let's let our minds run wild for a moment.
Maybe
that had nothing to do with any sort of conflict with Native Americans in there.
Okay.
Between European settlers and Native Americans.
Okay.
What if a group of people went there and had to build that earthworks fortification to try to protect themselves against whatever is in that area?
Well, I mean, that was the direct area near where Martin had his attack.
And maybe other people have experienced violent activity there before, and they tried to, I don't know.
So we're just seeing evidence of just decades and decades and decades of...
No, not even decades. Maybe just a group went there. They spent like a week doing it. They tried to, I don't know. I'm just saying it's MK Ultra, 100% with the hiking community. We see stuff, and then they talk about stuff. There's always, if there's like a message boards and forums aren't as popular as they used to be. Everybody's on Facebook now, but the ones that are still around, you can go in there and there's always one thread in the general discussion area of it. Anybody ever seen anything weird in the woods? And there's the people that come in and make jokes, and they post the Bigfoot hide and seek champion, world champion memes and stuff like that. But then there's people that start coming out and talk about how they've seen and experienced stuff out there. So
Jay Myers says, have y'all ever found tracks of the dog man? I think in the first episode of the werewolf experiments, when we
find a track of something.
We find a track of something. Yeah. It looks canid, but really long. But we can't say for certain what it is. There's claw marks in it as well. That's when we were getting run out by that tornado coming in.
And then we found what appear to be normal shaped canine tracks. They're just very large. They're about 5.5 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, you know, there's dogs out there, you know, on the extreme range of size that could do that, but they were just, it was out of the ordinary. No people tracks along with it. So I guess those dogs were just running solo. So. All right.
Oh, okay. Organoid intelligence is the announcement that they're growing gray matter cells to use as functional living computers.
No, I thought you were talking about the orangutans. I'm sorry, I misread that. No, they're using gray matter cells to use as functional living computers.
That's terrible.
Maybe artificial intelligence is not going to be like mechanical. Maybe artificial intelligence will be biological, but it'll be just geared up to such a height.
Well, that's horrific. So that means that all these people who are like, oh, shoot the robot dog at its battery center. These things are not going to have battery centers. They're going to just be like organic matter.
Well, let me throw another one past you.
Oh, no.
maybe artificial intelligence was created in the past using organic material.
And we're the artificial
and you're looking at, yeah, exactly. Maybe something happened and then we're what's left of it then.
So that is actually what happened with the Younger Dry Days.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So okay.
So
maybe the first humans didn't act or look anything like us. They built us, and then we just destroyed them all, and we are the victors. What we are now is the victors. And now we're going to create our own destruction by growing these things.
How did I miss the story? Organoid intelligence is the future of computing. Real AI will need biology. Computers powered by human brain cells. Revolutionary biocomputers powered by the human brain.
Eyes in the Woods says, Joe, you must read 22 hours a day.
I don't read as much as I used to. I used to read a ton, but nowadays this takes up like an inordinate amount of time. Like my reading list grows quicker than we can get through it. And then Jessie's the same way, but she reads like a totally different style of stuff than I do. So between the two of us, we got a lot of stuff covered, but it's just the channel eats up a lot of time nowadays, especially with her, because when you guys see the field investigation videos, I might have maybe 1% contribution to those. I might help pick out music and I might do some audio review, but the rest of it's literally her. And when I say literally her, I mean, she'll be in front of her computer for 16 hours a day, you know, and they're just like going along, slapping stuff together and everything like that. So the field investigation videos are a huge drain on her time.
And so. I look like a shrimp by the time I'm
done. She just comes in and I know that's the time to call it because she's just huddled up and shriveled in the chair. So, hey, thank you, by the way, for bringing that to my attention. Organoid intelligence.
Yeah, thank you for giving me some more nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
Dead End Yard Hunt says, I've seen a video of an orangutan driving a golf cart and doing it well. Better than my wife. Go on with yours.
I was just going to say Ellen Lassiter's in the house.
Hello, Ellen Lassiter.
Leave it at that. So, good God.
I mean, I'm behind too, so...
Rise of the Planet of the Apes coming soon.
What the Block goes, wow, you really just clowned me about the alien base? It's even on Google Earth.
Where is that out on Google Earth?
Wow. Thanks, guys.
Wow, I thought we had something going friends. Here, guys. Come on, so.
Clowning me about my alien base.
So really there's an alien base on Google Earth? But here's the thing, you can't tell
you
can't tell us in the
chat.
Yeah, because you'll dox yourself. And then you'll have like weird YouTube channels going, like sending the cops to your house. So
okay, Scott Dolly says the Proving Demons video was 2 weeks ago. It's called Alien Contact, UK's Area 51. Are you okay? So we watched the beginning of that, and he mentions the Newkirks.
You're not confused.
He shows the Newkirks YouTube page, not ours.
So we're
We're Hellbent Holler.
We're crazier and better armed. There we go. So, all right.
He's going to look at it. But we watched the beginning of that video and we're like, are they confusing us with them? No.
Chick with dark hair, guy with gray hair. I think that's where the
similarities end.
Yeah. But I'm going to pull that video up. We'll watch it when we
we'll hash this out, kids.
We'll get there.
Lady Wolf says, one of my first tip-offs to ask around was when you returned to that one little shack, saw the bones, and then you went back and every bone was gone. We returned again, and there were more bones there, but not quite as many.
And then we returned again, and there were fewer bones than there had been just brief time before.
Yes.
And we even took photos of the ones we found. I was sending them to Barton only, and then we go back and we can't find any of them. Now, there weren't a ton of them there, but we had a few people out there with us this time, covering the ground. Nobody found anything. We had found 2 bones that were kind of hidden by the tall grass. And I went down to see if they were still there. And like I filmed myself going down just so I had a record of it with those we found. But here's the deal. At that time, we weren't thinking that, come on, man, we're like a tiny little YouTube channel. You know what I'm saying? Nobody knows who we are, I mean,
the mightiest of oak was grown from the smallest of acorn.
Jesus Lord. Anyway, we're a tiny little YouTube channel, so we didn't really see any. And the other thing too is, so what are we going to get to the point we just can't share anything because we're afraid that people are going to. Now we'll be a little bit more strategic about certain stuff. We'll never ever say, "Hey guys, we're going to the LBL from the 15th to the 20th."
Nope, that got ruined.
That'll never happen again. We will never live stream from somewhere and then stay in that area. We might from
that got ruined.
That got ruined. So, but we just didn't think anything about it, Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Danny Mitchell says, with that one dogman thing you captured on video jumping from the treetops, that may be the reason they're using helos. So we got that in North Georgia, and I don't think that was like a dogman thing.
I still know what that is. That could have just been a camera artifact.
I don't think camera artifacts been trees, but thanks.
We disagree on some stuff. So I'm sorry, I just went back through that dead end yard hunt video of an orangutan driving a golf cart. Now what the flock's back on bunny cannons. All right, we're going down through here. Everybody's just poking fun. Come on, guys, give us something meaty.
Jay Myers suggests that the best thing to find out what's going on there is to get a job in the LBL.
I don't think so, because I think the people at the LBL,
it's very compartmentalized.
Those people are not, they don't, unless they have like world-class actors working the gift shop. Those people don't know what's going on.
Think about it like this. Think about how the military is. You've got a private in the Army. Does he know what the upper echelon is doing with the dark money at the top? No, he has no idea. It's all compartmentalized. Or when you have soldiers guarding a bridge, they're just given orders, guard this bridge. They don't tell them why they're guarding the bridge. They just tell them to guard a bridge. And they say, okay, I'll guard the bridge.
I'll guard the bridge.
That's how the hierarchy works. That's how ranks work. That's how it is. So they're not going to just divulge all this information to like say I'm in there with wearing a wire, cleaning toilets, they're not going to be like, oh, hey, Jesse. So we've got a lot of dogmen to kill later, just throwing that out there. They're not going to do that.
You stay here and clean the toilets while we go out here and kill these dogmen. I was actually going through the chat to make sure that what the flock didn't really get ticked off and leave, but he's still on here.
He didn't.
We're just kidding, buddy. I'm sorry. I didn't know that was.
I believe in your alien.
I believe in you, man. I believe in the aliens. You're a huge part of this. Remember when he wasn't on here for like 2 weeks, and each time we got off, and I was like, "Did you see what the flock in the chat?" And
we were
like,
worried.
No,
we were worried you went back to your ex-wife,
or maybe she had what was that movie where she tied James Caan up in the bed and broke his legs? Kathy Bates. Misery. Yeah, maybe she miseried him. So Ghetto Yetis up in here.
All right, we're trying.
Stephen Taylor bringing some stuff. He says that there was a Bigfoot sighting on River Road across from the Land Between the Lakes on the east side. TCR 44 says that I'm a composer writing Dogman the musical. Either of you guys sing? We start casting next month. Jesse's actually a pretty incredible singer. So
Oh, Bug.
you're a pretty good singer. Yeah.
Thank you. Usually when I sing, I get the horror look, but thank you.
Okay, Ultra is saying Marines recently went up against a combat robot for training and defeated it by sneaking up on it by hiding in boxes. It couldn't register the shape. That's what it wants you to think. Oh, I'm just a simple robot that cannot recognize box shape. Please, you can leave me plugged in at night and access to armory. That's how it all starts, man.
Easily defeated by box.
Easily defeated by box. Organic. Not today. Saban is talking about how that's why they're pushing organoid intelligence. That's what AI lacks: organic perception. That's crazy. Yeah, that's wild.
Intuition too.
Yeah. That's
intuition is a superpower amongst people.
Well, remember, for those of you who watched Terminator, the TV series, and I'm pretty sure that's everybody out there, that was the thing, is that they were trying to get AI that they were talking about how people would cross against a red light sometimes. They would sometimes know that a red light meant stop, but they would choose to kind of try to sneak and run past before the traffic came. And they were trying to get AI to be able to make that level of judgment calls, to have that, I guess you could call intuition almost. So.
Talking about the bones in that situation, not uncommon for animals to eat bones for calcium, but that's a bit much.
Ton much.
Trust
me.
We have there was a deer that got hit by a car out near where we live, and I gathered up all the bones after they were
typical normal human behavior.
Normal human being.
I'm going to gather up all of these bones.
Gathered up all the bones, and I brought them home. And I left some outside, but I made like a nice wind chime with some of them. Some of them I hung on the wall. But like some of them I left outside, and the squirrels came and kind of gnawed on a few of them, but it wasn't a significant amount because the squirrels will kind of gnaw on them. But yeah, I know what it looks like. It took months and months and months and months for them to make a tiny dent in some of those bones.
And
this was a lot of bones going very quickly.
A lot of very large bones. So some of them were bovine of some sort, either a cow or a bison. Something got a bison out of that enclosure. So. See, all right, so Jay Meyer says Fort Campbell had a hog hunt last fall, but no helicopter involved. They had plural. They had helicopters. We think, 3 is what we were thinking?
And then the weird one was the blacked out helicopter at night. I mean, you don't have hogs down there with night vision, looking out for helicopters.
What the flock's saying was actually being serious. I send us the link if you don't mind, if it wouldn't put you in a precarious, because here's the deal. We might show up at your damn house one day, because we did that to Stephen Taylor.
Yeah, ask Stephen Taylor.
Stephen Taylor dropped a hint. We pulled up in his driveway. We'll do it.
I think he lives in California, so maybe that'll keep us at bay.
That's going to preclude us from.
I don't think we're legally allowed in California.
Yeah, so.
I think we're considered too dangerous for California. Barton only says, y'all better hit the like button.
Would it kill you to hit the like button? Really? Just simple, here's all you got to do is move your finger over and just you move the mouse, click.
Just touch it a little bit.
Touch it a little bit.
Just touch it a little bit. Letitia says they can't watch us on the TV. The other is coming in fine. This is strange.
Can't. Huh. All right. Melody says that there's other video of something swinging through treetops like what you two experienced. I'm still on the fence about it, but I'm on the fence about a lot of things. So don't take that personally, anybody.
I have to.
All right, hold on. So what the flock is saying, serious with the Brown Mountain Lights. I live in a UFO hotspot right off of Malibu. All right, that area out there through Catalina is like crazy busy to this day.
Yeah, yes, that's where off the coast there is where they were getting them coming out of the water.
Yeah. But
they were getting UAPs coming out of the water.
I was watching something where you guys know, like Ben Hansen, that guy, that like the reality TV star dude. Apparently Ben Hansen is like you always hear about some people that, like, when the camera stops, they're not into this stuff, man. They don't pay any attention to it until, they get their next paycheck. And Ben Hansen, I guess, is just as obsessed about this stuff as like we are, because he took a couple people out for a podcast, and he's busting out his personal equipment, and he's been mapping stuff off Catalina. Excuse me. So Yeah, that is apparently like a hot spot far beyond just the military stuff that was actually released out. All right, let's see. Kobe Nelson. How do I give you pictures of Bigfoot tracks in my backyard, which my ex-wife owns now? You're in the right crowd if you got some ex-wife problems, brother. There's plaster casts. You can send them to us at hellbentholler@gmail.com. I'm not kidding when I say that we are insanely behind on emails. We love hearing from everybody, but we just, with the LBL trip, I don't have like a lot of time to sit down and review them. And Jesse's been like super busy as well. So send it. It may take us a little while, but we'll look at it and get it back to you. All right. Dead End Yard Hunt coming through with a video of the orangutan driving the golf cart. People are asking what you sing. Jessie sang in a punk band, and then I heard her first time, like one of the first times we met, I heard her singing. She's got an awesome voice. So
I do a pretty good typo negative
impression.
I do a pretty good typo negative.
They're talking about Skynet defeated by all those pesky right angles, because they couldn't recognize the box. What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
That's because
Amazon
Amazon's investing in it, and they don't want them to destroy all the Amazon.
We did the knife check too early. Everybody missed it. I got a Cold Steel Voyager XL Chris blade. And what's crazy is this looks completely impractical. It's actually pretty good. It's not really a good utility knife, but as far as like defensive purposes, it's pretty good.
I got a sweet little Spyderco in a blurple. It's a blue purple colorway and a dark stone washed blade. So that's a pretty one. That's one of my prettier knives. I don't have a lot of colorful knives.
What? Ghetto Yeti. Linda Moulton Howe reported a story from Japan or somewhere in Asia where an AI robot killed an entire lab of like 27 scientists. What? I've got like so many tabs open to like review afterward. How robot Japanese killer robots murder 29 scientists.
He received some bad news. He took it out on his coworkers.
That's okay. It's been fact checked. There's no evidence to support claims online that for artificial intelligence. So it happened. The moment they have to start fact checking stuff, you know what happened. So
actually. James Barker says he can't wait for my new toy line, My Little Wendigo.
There's so much cool stuff tonight. Did you guys see the report that North Cascades National Park in Washington? I saw something about this. Remember, we saw a brief headline on this. We didn't have time to look at it. Apparently, North Cascades National Park has the highest death rate in the country, but officials are not releasing the manner of those deaths.
Highest death rate of a national park?
Yeah, I believe so. Or might be in the country. I don't know. I just barely saw this. Let's open up another tab for later. So,
I mean, is it worse than the south side of Chicago, or is it worse than Yellowstone National Park?
All right. So we met in New Orleans, North Cascades, and National Park. 1 second. Death. So deadly. All right.
Stingray 1975 says, it did kill me, but I hit the like button. R.I.P. R.I.P. in peace, man.
But when we were in New Orleans, it was a pretty well-known fact that there were at least 3 serial killers operating in New Orleans that were just never really addressed publicly. New Orleans has a very transient population. There's constantly new people showing up because they want to live in the Big Easy. And then they can't hack it. And then they just get on a bus sometime and they leave. And all their friends are going like, where's Sally at? They never know where she's at. They assume that Sally went home. But there were 3 serial killers going around there. And a lot of the murder statistics were covered up because New Orleans thrives on the tourism industry. There was a real big problem with it this year. We were seeing people that we know that still live down there talking about how the fact that they were covering up a lot of the death rates so it wouldn't keep people away from Mardi Gras. So
we saw we were doing some research on different areas, and the crime rates in different areas. And there's an area that's local to us that we were looking at. And it was like, it said it was like super dangerous. And we're like, how is this super dangerous? They're like, we go there all the time. It's not dangerous at all. What the heck? So we were curious about how it compared to somewhere like New Orleans, because we're very familiar with how New Orleans is. So we go on there, and it said that this area near us in South Carolina is more dangerous than New Orleans, according to this neighborhood scout type thing. But you go into the statistics area of where they calculate this, and somewhere like New Orleans, it's all unreported data.
Everything was unreported data.
So everything's unreported for like New Orleans, and I'm like, Jesus, okay. Well, that'll explain it.
The Fighting Cockerel, Tottenham lurking. Do you think these silent blacked out helicopters are being used to either capture or track certain cryptids? We didn't really hear gunshots and explosions at night, which a lot of hog hunting takes place day and night. But we did see the blacked out helicopters. And when I say see them, I saw it because I had a thermal imager in my hand. We're all standing around in a circle talking. Martin Groves is leaning against the back of the giant armored truck that he drives. And so we started hearing a helicopter, and it's really, really close. And of course, we're all out looking for weird stuff. And so we're just going, where's the helicopter? Where's the helicopter? It's really close. And Martin doesn't even look up. He's just staring straight ahead, and he goes, you won't see it. It's blacked out. So I found it with the thermal imager in the sky. And so I've got one thermal imager covering up one eye. The other eye is open, and I'm looking in the exact same spot. There's no light there. It's running blacked out. So I don't know. They were up to something. And again, this is sheer conjecture. And if somebody was to go, you guys are just getting carried away and you're reading too much into it, I really can't. I can't prove any of this. But it seemed it seemed to us that there was kind of a panicked effort to get something under control real quick.
Yeah.
Warmer weather's around the corner. Those areas at the LBL that do see visitors, we're getting ready to actually start getting people in them over the next few weeks. And it seemed like they were trying their damnedest to get something under control. So
Bronwyn Pawson says, I see your subs are up over 8,000 now. Bring on 10K. So you need to be the change you want to see in the world. You guys need to share our channel with other people. Tell other people about our channel, and make sure you
tell your friends.
Share our stuff.
Have your kids watch.
That's how we're gonna
don't have your kids watch. It's a bad idea.
That's how we're gonna get out there to other people, is that you guys share our videos and share our content. That's the only way other people are going to see it at the mass scale that we need them to see it, to get us over 10K. And we're going to keep producing videos and keep doing this, but we need your help on that. So you guys have a task ahead of you. But yeah, we're going to keep this up, but we'll get there. We're all trucking along. We got a good little group here. I think it's going good. I'm very proud and excited about it.
Lots of Booze was talking about Ben Hansen. Yeah, I can't even remember what the podcast was. I think it was like Ross Coulhart's podcast he was doing, if he's even still doing it. But he went out with another guy, and they were like, we're going to meet Ben Hansen. And I'm going, what are you mean Ben Hansen for? That's like, to me, in my mind, and my first thought was, because I know Ben Hansen was a former FBI agent, but a lot of the people that are involved in these shows just do it for because they're on TV and that's what they're told to do. And if somebody writes them a check and tells them that they want them to go talk about cats for an hour, they're going to talk about, how cool would that be to get paid to talk about cats for like an hour?
That'd be,
because they bring so much joy to
our lives.
And they don't make us want to choke them on a nightly basis. Anyway, they were going to meet Ben Hansen, and I'm going, why don't you guys just go ahead and meet like Jack Osborne out there or something like that? I thought it was going to get really kind of stupid and sensational. And then they go meet Ben Hansen, and Ben Hansen's like this, comes across like this deranged dude who's barely holding it together because the obsession
in a great way,
in an awesome way.
Yeah.
Like the obsession's just gotten the best of him, and he's barely holding it together for the cameras most of the time. But now he can kind of just be himself a little bit. And he's got charts, and he's like, they're out on this boat going out in the water, and they're like Catalina, and he's pulling out his own personal equipment. And I'm looking at it, and I'm going, good God, man, I thought we had some cool stuff. Ben Hansen's bringing out just like all sorts of stuff. And he's going, I've been in these waters thoroughly for the past like 9 months charting. And I'm just going, Ben Hansen's like a madman. And
Ahab up in there.
yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, I'm sure that I you get that impression, man. Everybody's going, they've had conversations with him. He was really interested in the field. He was interested in it, man. He was into it. So while you were out, somebody mentioned something that they had photos of some plaster casts their ex-wife had.
Was she a plaster caster?
And I went, you're in the footprints, Bigfoot footprints.
Oh.
And I said, you're in the right spot. So the stingray follows it up with, I have plaster casts of my ex-wife, which is immediately followed up by him going, I have plaster casts of Stingray's ex-wife too. It started. Good Lord.
Every time people talk about plaster casts, like if people are doing like Bigfoot interviews or something, like people who do footprint casts and stuff, when they talk about, like, I'm trying to listen to them and try to like absorb the information they're trying to give. But when they're talking about casting footprints and stuff, I have a cast footprint, that doesn't trigger anything. But when they start going, I have plaster casts, and I just like, my mind just immediately goes to the plaster casters. You remember those women that would follow rock bands around and cast their members?
Oh, good Lord, yeah, now I remember it.
The plaster, that's immediately where my mind goes. And like, so then I'm just lost for the rest of the conversation because I'm thinking about that.
So we're done here now.
So
let's go and wrap it up. Just reading some of the comments here, man. So, and I know we talk about this every time we do this, but I go into other chats and everybody's very nice, on other channels. They do their chats and they get like, hello, how are you doing tonight, Gertrude? Oh, I'm doing fine. Touch of the rheumatism tonight. Everything's good though. And it's very topical, pleasant, normal people conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just normal people sitting around watching YouTube.
Normal human people.
Just normal human people. And then we get like our group who every week another little layer of the weird gets layered, just thrown down on it. So Peter Smallwood has a question. Have you ever considered ghost Bigfoot hunting in old graveyards to avoid ticks and black helicopters? Our bread and butter is like two things. And it's weird because we don't really spend a lot of time doing it nowadays. But our bread and butter was always old gravel roads that aren't maintained and old southern mountain cemeteries that, are just there and like the homes around them have gone away.
Yeah.
And we haven't really spent a lot of time doing that lately. Maybe that should be our next outing, is just kind of like a back to the basics thing. Not worry about these like weird stuff in that one area that we've been going to where we saw the burning light.
We need to like back off the seeking out the occult and then the government conspiracies.
Let's just take an old fashioned, like get back to our roots and just
go to an old cemetery.
Go to an old cemetery off an old mountain road. So
that might not be a bad
But we
idea.
used to do that all the time.
I'd like to go back to that dam. North Carolina.
Yeah, we'll go back to the dam.
Because there's an old cemetery above that. That's actually my family cemetery.
That is your family cemetery. That's what we need to go to.
2 for 1.
All right.
Grace W says, I always wondered what normal people do.
They're very topical with each other. And it's raining here tonight. And I'm just going, good Lord, man. By this point in our chat, it's just a freaking zoo. Do you know what I'm saying?
Deer in headlights. So we're on another level in this chat.
Yeah, you guys are next level with it. So yeah. I think about that too, because we don't really do a lot of interviews, but eventually I'm gonna and I don't really ever do anything without you, but eventually I'm gonna agree to something and I'll just be in here doing it one night and they'll be like, oh, let's take some questions from the chat, Joe. And I'll be like, sure, why not? Stealing myself for just the craziest crap I've ever heard. And they'll be like, what's your favorite color, Joe? What's your favorite? And I'll just be going, good Lord, these people are normal.
What kind of interviews are you doing? Like a kindergarten entrance interview?
That's exactly what I'm doing.
What is your favorite color, Joe?
That's exactly what I'm doing.
I think they're going to ask you something else than that. I think you'll fit right in kindergarten. They're going to not know at all. Oh, hi, Lenny.
What's up, buddy? All right, we're catching up here.
Charles Lindsay asked, through your research, what do you think may be the top sizes of Dogman and Sasquatch?
No clue. What do you think? I mean,
I figure, I don't know. I don't know because, well, that Dogman thermal image we got,
Wasn't that large.
it wasn't
6'3",
that
6'4",
large
6'5".
because we put you in that little gully there,
And
and
if
you
it was
could.
bigger than me, it wasn't much bigger.
It was wider though.
It was wider. It was a
It
lot
was
wider.
wider, but it wasn't much taller. So
I don't know. I mean, if you had asked me a few years ago, I would have gone. I will say one thing, that the stuff that we encounter whenever we get like little fleeting glimpses of stuff, it's big, but it's not huge. It's not like 9 feet tall.
yeah.
That shadow that I saw on the LBL near Martin Grove's attack site, I think that was bigger than what I thought, but that's just a gut instinct. But then I talk to people that do this sort of stuff out like in the Pacific Northwest, and they're dealing with like forest giants, man. And then you hear about people from like further north, like Canada and all that.
Well, I mean, look at brown bears compared to black bears.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a size difference there based on geographical location.
Mhm.
I mean, I know they're two different types of bear, but
that's Bergman's rule. Go further north, the things get bigger. But I don't know. So like you'd hear stories where people would go, it's 16 feet tall. I'm the worst estimate.
I'm terrible at that.
I have a horrible time going, like, how far is it from me to this thing that I've seen? Is it like 20 yards, 50 yards? I'm bad at it. So not anything that we're very good at. So I think that people struggle with that, especially when they're seeing something that their mind's having a hard time wrapping around the reality of it.
Yeah.
How big is it? But at the same token, there's not a lot that's on the table that's not on the table anymore. If somebody goes, I saw something that was 12 feet tall, I can't go. I can't go. No, you didn't.
I'm terrible at estimating heights. I would just be like, because everything's much bigger than I am. So I always think things are just huge. I went to look at a house today, and I had my friend take a picture of me because it has a low awning. I was like, just take a picture of me so I can show it to Joe. He will know how tall it is.
Yeah, I need a reference there. Well, the flock says that one of his ancestors is Jean Lafitte.
Oh, the pirate.
The pirate, yeah. That's crazy. Lafitte's blacksmith shop is still the blacksmith shop that he had down there when he was not pirating. I guess he was making swords to pirate with.
Jean Lafitte, I think he was referred to as the gentleman pirate.
Yeah, but they've turned his blacksmith shop into a bar. It's like this,
and it's one of the oldest continuously operating bars in the United States. They have nightly piano shows.
Make giant armored trucks great again. All right. They're talking about the taxman has never had Gorilla P fund claimed,
We're getting audited.
We're getting audited, yeah.
I'm never going to financially recover from this. It's Gorilla P. I'm never going to financially recover from this.
All right. We're going down through here. E-Rev is here for that 100,000 giveaway. We're not for everybody. I don't know if there's 100,000 people out there that would. And I'm talking like globally. You know what I'm saying? Like 100,000 out of like, what are we up to? Like 9 billion at this point. So
I think as the mental illness rates rise,
that will increase our. All right.
We're going to see our subscribers. I think if you charted both, you'd really see ascending lines that would be mirroring each other.
All right. So this is something that's worth the fighting cockerel. Tottenham lurking. They could be they're talking about the helicopters. They could be dropping off kill teams. You never know. Now, the helicopters we never saw any of them land, but that's not to say that they didn't land. Now, the LBL is not, I mean, it's big, but I'm reminded of all right, I'm going to throw I'm segueing an awful lot here, but I'm going to throw a little unpopular opinion out there. Todd Standing is obviously very polarizing. Okay. I think it's safe to say that Todd Standing is somewhere on the spectrum.
Okay.
I think that Todd Standing possibly had a real Sasquatch encounter at some point in his life, and now he's just trying to prove it no matter what. Okay. And maybe
by any means
necessary, even if that a lot of people think that he hoaxes his stuff. Okay. However, he tells that one story about regardless of what he's doing or not doing, he's really out there in the wilderness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He goes into places where a lot of people would not go to. And he tells that story about having that helicopter come out. You know, he finds those, he's way, way, way out in the Canadian wilderness, and he finds those like 7 pairs of boots. And he's like first impressed because he's going, wow, I'm not the only person out here. These dudes are hardcore. And then later that night, he hears like a firefight, and then he hears a blacked out helicopter come, and it seems like it lands and then it goes back out. And I'm always going, regardless of what you think about his like videos and his images that he has and everything like that, that story seemed authentic when he told it. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have a very sensational, just because he may have hoaxed one thing doesn't mean that he has not experienced other stuff. And that always seemed very believable. And it, to me, that smacked of something that he actually experienced. So you are right. The fight in Cockerel. We weren't thinking about that, but that might actually be a possibility. So
I don't know the context here because I kind of skipped ahead on the chat, but I do want to say the Stingray 1975. Before I put this up, just imagine Stingray 1975 sitting in his lazy boy, drinking Dogman Piss whiskey, drunk out of his mind,
feet up on an ottoman,
watching the chat, and just blurts out and exclaims, "Pig boy in Georgia!"
Good God Almighty.
Okay.
Good God.
I had another one. Oh, William Comer says, I guess I've seen a seraphim figure there once. It was following me.
Like a seraphim? Like angel? Like angelic?
Like a burning angel of God with 9 wings.
How did you miss this one? The Cumberland River had 8 barges being pushed down. 8 barges would probably... All right.
Barge fund.
Freddie Baker wants to know, have we done much research in Southern Kentucky? As far as Kentucky goes, LBL has been pretty much where we're at. There is a spot that I have been kind of researching as like a pet project for a while that we're not going to name right now, because I don't want all of a sudden us to name it and then the people be going, there's nothing going on there, or all of a sudden it enters into like the
lexicon.
The lexicon of that, but there's some weird stuff going on there that hasn't really gotten a lot of national attention, but really weird stuff. But we're probably going to do that. We've had such an attraction to the LBL that every time we get into that area, that's where we kind of go to. But we are going to go out there and check out some other spots. So yeah, we have not, but I'd like to.
Yeah. So. Southern Sasquatch, $5 for the gummy bears of the LBL fund.
Have you told them about your gummy bear addiction and like how crippling it is sometimes? So.
You know what? I don't air your dirty laundry.
I'm gonna buy. You guys have seen like, what is that thing where they intervention?
Yeah.
Okay. And you see those people on intervention that are like, you know, they follow them around doing their sketchy stuff.
Yeah, like the girl who sits in her car.
Does like, but then you see the dude
helping the electronics cleaner.
Yeah, but then the cameras follow them before the intervention happens, and they're just doing sketchy stuff. And you'll have that dude who goes, well, I'm going to buy like 3 8-balls. It'll last me a month. And then it goes 24 hours later, and he's just a freaking coked out lunatic. He's done all 3 8-balls. That's how Jesse is with gummy bears. I'm going to buy this big pack, and
I'll go to Costco. They'll follow me in the Costco, and I'll be like, so I'm just going to buy the big bag just so, you know.
I'll have them in the house. That way, you know, it'll be okay. And then
I'll just ration them, you know.
I mean, I've found them hidden behind canned goods in the pantry before. Just little bags of gum.
It's when you know you have a problem.
You're hiding it from people and you're lying about it. So
they're just so sour and so good.
Ghetto Yeti, was Martin Groves on an interview last night? We will have to watch that out. We make sure to watch. All right.
War Criminal says 7 says shoot these Hellbenders or something.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And it's weird because
our chat is almost like a halfway house or something.
But when we first started doing this, Jesse's like, I want to do like a live show. And I was just like, nope, absolutely not. We're not doing a live show. I don't have any interest in doing that at all. I just don't want to do it. And we finally did it and conversed at it. And even then I was just kind of like, yeah, going live. And it's just, and then like 3 weeks in, that was like, maybe not even that. Maybe it was about the second time we did it. This is literally the highlight of our week getting in here doing this. So, it's weird. You know how normally, like, you're off on the weekends and like by about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday, you're going, oh, it's Sunday. I got to go back to work tomorrow. I don't have that feeling anymore because I'm just going, oh, Monday's almost here. We're going to like do the live stream tomorrow night. It's going to be great. So, all right.
Ghetto Yeti says, I too share a secret gummy addiction. Centipedes, sharks, bears. You'll find me hiding in a ditch fixing.
The fact that you just named all of those, I had no clue that they had gummy
centipedes. Have you tried the sour bursting crawlers? Those are real good. They have like a little juicy center and they're a sour worm. They're so good. They just burst in your mouth. Oh, delicious. I have a little pack stashed in my center console of my car right now.
It's a random thing. Why do people hate on the skunk ape? I don't know. What's weird is that, we lived in New Orleans and that's fairly close to Honey Island Swamp. And that's where like the skunk ape supposedly is at. And I've never heard any first person accounts of anybody seeing it. We have a friend who hunts out there pretty frequently. And again, you get that all the time. Hunters go, I've been in those woods for 20 years. I've never seen anything until the day they do. But I've just never met anybody that down there that had a first hand like skunk ape experience at all. So
I think that's like a Florida thing though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean it's also big in Louisiana, but it's just not I've never just met anybody and we talked about this stuff all the time. So all right.
Margot said, when you talk about that, Margot's doing an interview. He said that we were talking about your interview last night being so good.
Gotcha. I thought maybe you were on something before, after us, or sometime during last night. So I'm gonna do a Todd Standing rant here real quick because Stingray's on the same way. On Todd Standing, I'm on the fence. If you put a gun to my head and you went, do you think Todd Standing's hoaxing? You just answer me. I'm going to kill you right now. I'd go, he's hoaxing. You know what I'm saying? He's hoaxing. I think that. I don't know that. And here's why. All of these videos, that little animated GIF where you see his face morphing into the one Sasquatch and all that. You could put my face, or you could put her face on there and make it morph into it and look like it. You've got these amateur, detectives. We're going to measure the distance between the eyes of the one and then his eyes and da, 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 da. And I've heard stories that his sister was a makeup artist. And yeah, they had like a production company together, but from the most I can tell, and I might be somebody could prove me wrong. His sister's a makeup artist, like the chick that's doing like makeovers at like the, in the Sephora makeup counter. You know what I'm saying? She's not somebody who's in there with like prosthetics and, latex appliques and like everything like that.
This isn't Face Off.
Yeah, it's not Face Off. And so I don't think those things look real, but people will go, it's been debunked. And I'm going, somebody said they debunked it. There's a big difference between debunking it and saying you debunked it. I do think that he had something happen to him. I do think he's had a sighting. Do I think that it bothers him that he makes a little scratch off this sometimes? I don't think it bothers him at all. Is he anybody that either one of us would like to spend any time with? No, probably not. He might be the nicest guy in the world. I just think he's too obsessive about the topic to really have anything else going on. Does he attract a certain type of person? Yes. Remember that chick that was going to be the head of the Southern Sasquatch studies for Todd Standing?
I'm not comfortable with talking about any of this stuff.
Yeah, but anyway,
it's weird. Some of it's very weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, but at the same token, I think it's fake, but I have yet to see somebody definitively prove that it's a fake. And with this much attention and talk about it, it's kind of weird to me that nobody has been able to go.
There's been a lot of low quality debunking.
Yeah, and guess what? There's been other stuff too where people have gone, he's got he had like a Bigfoot outfit in the back of his truck when he was taking people out to do like a Bigfoot hunt. Now that's shady.
It's
You know what I'm
very
saying?
shady.
It's one thing to go, oh, Todd Standing dressed up as a Bigfoot for Halloween one year. He rented a Bigfoot costume. That's Halloween. He rented a Bigfoot costume. What's the big deal? He had a Bigfoot costume in the back of his truck when he was taking people out to prove that Sasquatch was there. That's pretty shady, and that shows that,
Yeah.
But at the same token, I don't think he's credible, but at the same token, I just think that people have just been too, I don't know, not lazy, but I just don't think, I've never seen anybody credibly prove to me that it's wrong. So
Low quality. Low
there
quality.
we go. Low quality debunking. Low quality.
Southern Sasquatch, $5 for the gummy bear fund for Jesse.
You guys don't know what you're doing. Anyway, so
I want to be so
don't know
hopped
what
up.
you're doing.
Not today. Saban is really trying to sell these Welch's juicefuls as gushers for grown-ups. Dark web gummy dog men.
It all just gets blended together. So all just gets blended together.
Megan Froman.
Yes. Look at this one. Getting jacked. They're calling it Pisky.
Pisky.
Pisky. The dog man piss whiskey. So all right, let's get serious again.
Pisky sounds like a nickname for a guy of Polish descent that plays hockey and gets really drunk.
Violent all the time. So
all right, we'll get serious.
We'll get serious now. Enough of this joking around. We're just a little tired tonight, guys. I'm sorry. Take Two Wheels has got something. When I first moved here, I had automatic gunfire. I know most people around me can't afford a licensed transferable machine gun, not a bump stock or a binary trigger. Did it seem like it was coming? Well, I mean, I don't know. I'd like to hear more about it, man. We didn't hear automatic gunfire. We heard single shots, but there was a lot of them at times. So a lot of them. Bernice Riggers, do you think cryptids will soon be coming into the cities? There's some weird reports, like we talked about it before. Like if you look at Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, that book, which is kind of the follow-up to the George Knapp book, Skinwalker Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about some of those government intelligence personnel who were hired to go out and investigate Skinwalker Ranch. And when they left, what's his name? They give him a pseudonym, Axelrod is what they call him, so they don't release his real name. And his wife, they live in the suburbs of DC. And his wife and kids, and then the neighbors after that, start seeing like upright wolf-like creatures in their backyards. And that's one of the things that everybody was just having a hard time digesting, is that it's the suburbs of DC that's pretty heavily populated. A lot of people have like home security cameras up, there was no real like green belt or greenway for it to use to like travel. So how did it get there? So the reason why I bring that up is that, yeah, you don't really have a lot of sightings to them. Well, I take that back. You kind of do. Not a lot, but there are a few. We've had some people contact us with some stuff that the first thing they say is basically acknowledging how crazy it is because it took place in like an urban environment.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go on to tell their story, and I'm just like, I don't think you're crazy. So it does seem like a lot of people seem to think that this activity is ramping up.
And starting to spill over. And also, you've got a lot of a loss of habitat for, I guess, natural, normal animals.
Mm-hmm.
So you're seeing a lot more coyotes, cougars, that kind of thing, spill over into suburban and urban areas because there's such a loss of habitat. Maybe that is going to happen with Sasquatch eventually.
I don't know.
But yeah. Stingray 1975 says, my new band name, Low Quality Debunkers.
I know we're supposedly getting serious, but hashtag Feral Foundation should be for Hellbenders. That's actually
pretty sweet.
The Feral Foundation.
That's pretty sweet. I like that. We opened a can of gummy worms here.
Yes, indeed. So, registered chat offenders. Where are we at?
This is all gummy bear stuff.
It's all gummy. We're just gonna. You guess what? We're cryptid stuff done.
We're gummy chat now.
Gummy channel. We're gummy channel now.
I could just do videos where I try different gummies and describe their qualities.
Have you ever seen, what is he? Steve 1989, the MRE guy that tries old MREs, and just talks about them. Jesse's going to do that just with gummy products.
I was about to say, you better not say a bad word about
your boy.
About my boy.
Um,
That's my favorite YouTube channel, and he's been missing for a long time, and I'm worried about him. Ghetto Yeti asks, you mentioned explosions at the LBL, right? Same time as gunfire. So there would be explosions pretty regularly, and the Deuster can back me up on
Martin
this.
can back us up
Martin,
on that. So,
yeah. But it was just these explosions, and then a little time after that, gunfire, and then explosion, gunfire. It was just like it was all happening. And then this is the middle of the day, which is weird too. But they had that road completely shut off where in the direction of where the gunfire and the explosions were coming from.
Bernie Gannon said, notwithstanding his video evidence on his YouTube channel, Todd Standing radically changes and embellishes his ventures over time. He does, and he has difficulty telling the truth. Absolutely. I all of that is true and more. I sometimes it seems to me that he knows that Sasquatch is real, and just because of he is the way he is, he's upset that people won't believe him just on his word, and he's trying to do stuff to back that up to make people believe. That's what I think is going on. I'm just saying that a lot of the stuff that I see as far as like debunking the video stuff, that face transforming picture just gets me every time I see it, because I'm just going, come on, man, you can put anybody's face in there. If you're going to debunk it, just be honest and go, I think it's fake, but and guess what? I mean, maybe there's somebody out there that's debunked it enough, but I've never seen it because I just always see the same stuff.
Yeah.
But no, he does. I mean, I've heard stories about it. He steals people's research areas and claims that they're own. That whole Sylvanic thing that he came up with. But I'm not sitting here giving you a ringing endorsement of Todd Standing by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think that he's had some experience in the past, and maybe he's just trying to capitalize off it now. Maybe he's trying to try to make it something that it's not, so more people will believe it.
Following up about the gunfire and the explosions, Enzo Cyril says may have been plinkers messing with tannerite. So you have a huge group of federal and
law
enforcement,
and you're behind a barricade that you can't get down, and they're running around with helicopters.
Yeah,
and they evacuated that entire. You couldn't get in via road, so maybe some plinkers hiked in on foot and set up some tannerite. And the helicopters were just going, just ignore those dudes over there sitting on.
Yeah, so that's
it was
not only implausible, that's impossible.
It's unfortunately impossible.
Martin Groves follows up with, we had fully auto M4 fire in the Bumpus Mills area along the river 2 days after you left.
And if somebody's going to know it, it's going to be Martin. So
Sharon asks, is it normal? Is it normal that such activity is in the LBL? That kind of police presence and everything like that? No. Every time we've gone prior to this particular expedition, we didn't see an official vehicle.
I've never seen, up until this time, I've never seen anybody that was employed by the park that you knew was employed by the park. I mean, you rarely see people there at all, usually when we go. But I've never seen an official truck on the road. I've never seen anybody employed by the Forestry Service or anything like that ever. I've never seen them there. And then this time there were, I don't even know what all the trucks there were.
The only people we would ever see employed by the LBL or Forestry Service or anything was at the Welcome Station,
yeah,
or at the Golden Pond Visitor Center.
So the amount of manpower that they had in there from Arizona, come on, man, that's a pretty far net to cast at this point. It's not like they were just bringing in.
That was very odd.
What's that? Yeah, it was extremely odd. So, do you want to?
Oh yeah. Lady Wolf, thank you very much for that, $10 for Feral Hog Fountain.
So, anyway,
it's like a giant fountain that just shoots feral
hogs out. So. And then you come across random stuff like this. You're welcome. I also invented water.
We spared no expense.
So, all right. So I'm gonna go ahead and. All right, Grace W. Anybody else here that there's a lady suing the state of California and Todd Standing got involved and messed it up for her? I can't remember the details. I want to.
That dude has no chill. Can he just not like just
Yeah.
chill out?
So we're not trying to badmouth anybody, but
Just chill, bro.
at the same time, hold on.
At least when the H it was O on us,
Todd Standing was down in the
got
south
out.
somewhere, and where's that? Here we go. Todd Standing was down in the south, and he was in Shelby County, and he was in the papers, and he was out there with some people, and he took this woman and he appointed her the official head of whatever the Todd Standing organization, big whatever he made up name he had for his organization, but he put this lady in charge of it.
Todd's House of Squatch.
Todd's House of Squatch, and right after he left, she got arrested for attempted murder. She tried to kill somebody. So all those things are a Bigfoot hunter from Alexander City has been arrested and charged with an attempted murder. So this chick's in the paper like 1 week, and then like a few weeks later, she's like arrested for attempted murder. All right. So then flash forward, I'm on a Facebook group, like what is his documentary that he has?
Discovering
Bigfoot. Like the Discovering Bigfoot fan page. And this woman comes into the Facebook group and she's just like, she's fired up. She is talking about how Todd Standing is a thief and a liar. And, you hear that all the time. He stole all of my clothes. And I'm going, whoa, this is a little bit more personal than the usual. He's just a con artist, da 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 da. He stole all of my clothes, da 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 da. So she's like raising Cain about Todd Standing, talking about how he ripped her off, that he lured her out to come out and be on like an extended Sasquatch investigation with him in his camper, and then like stole all of her stuff. So they banned her from the group, but I had gone to her profile. So like I message her and she's going, Todd Standing he's a fraud. He is this and that. He stole all my clothes. And then she's going, when I went back to like get some of my stuff back, I found SD cards that he had in this camper that showed him faking all of this stuff. Okay. And
the
smoking gun for Todd Standing. She claims she had it. And it was going to show that Todd Standing faked everything. It was going to show him talking about it, show him laughing about it, showing everything. And then you're going, that's like an evil villain out of a comic book type thing to do. Let me leave all this incriminating evidence around my secret lair for no reason at all. But anyway, she swore she had them and that she was going to release them and ruin Todd Standing because he had and she's just going on and on and on and on. And so I'm talking to her and I'm going like on private message and I'm going, when are you going to release this? Because I want to know, because it's been my thing. Finally, somebody's going to bring out definitive evidence, not just his character issues or maybe just the stuff he tells, but I want to know how he faked these heads, because that seems, even though they look fake to me, that seems a little bit beyond his capabilities. I mean, I couldn't make as good looking of possible fake as what he made. And then she keeps going on and on. And then finally I go, can I ask you a question? Were you like dating Todd Standing when like all this happened? That's not important. And I'm like, oh yeah, you were. So it was a jilted lover. And then she just disappears. She never talks again. So I don't know if Todd Standing had her killed. Maybe like, gave her clothes back and got the SD cards. And I even like messaged her like a couple months later and she never responded. So I think Todd Standing whacked her.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah, you heard it here. So God. Thank you for that $20.
Now we're gonna get the Bigfoot lawsuit.
Thank you, Stingray 1975.
Todd's House of Squatch would never whack somebody.
We would never base ourselves like that. Now it's all about just coming. You know what? You people are so easily led. Next week, I'm going to go, all right, I'm going to randomly just say this, Jesse, and watch.
I don't think you have to randomly say anything.
Yeah, I don't think I
think it just happens. I do have a gummy problem. I'm not going to lie. I'll tell. I'm laying myself bare to you people.
Thank you for that, Stingray 1975. Thank you. You're very kind.
The low quality debunkers.
The low quality debunkers. So I guess the moral of the story is that in addition to some sketchy Bigfoot behavior. Todd Standing likes to surround himself with a certain type of lady. So
Bernie Gannon says Todd S. says Sasquatch have personally informed him that they prefer to be called Boom. I wouldn't be surprised if he's trying to copyright and monetize them.
You probably owe him $5 just for posting that. So
shoot,
you're gonna get a letter in the mail from Todd Standing's high-priced attorneys. So paid for by the stolen clothing from all the women that he's ripped off.
Oh my god!
Todd Standing's opened up a used women's clothing store. And that's how he funds his high-priced attorneys to enforce his copyright law.
It all makes sense.
See?
It's a cabal.
It's a cabal. Good God almighty, you people. Look right here. I'm not going to post it, but... All right.
You know what? We don't have cryptid response, do we?
No, we don't have cryptid response for once on here, man. We need more mods.
Oh gosh.
All right, let's see here. I'm catching up. Dogmen are tracked by contractors. Well, the people with the helicopters that were doing the shooting were supposedly an outside company hired that nobody knew anything about. And again, you have to let me preface this by saying we did not talk to every single person, every single federal employee on the LBL. The ones we spoke to, and it was a pretty good cross section. Nobody really seemed to know what the hell was going on.
Yeah, it was kind of a mixed message,
including like Forestry Service people who were just going, "I don't know. They just told me to stand here and tell you all this road is closed." Well, who's in there hunting them? I don't know. Some company that has like 3 military grade helicopters. I guess, I'm just going, all right. I mean, and I think that probably goes a long ways towards keeping a lot of this stuff, the truth from being known. Mm-hmm. It's just sheer apathy on the part of people who are just doing a 9-to-5 job that just don't care. They just want to get home at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
Gary, we want you to stand here and guard this warehouse. All right. Now, there's going to be some pretty weird stuff coming in and out of that warehouse. Not a problem. We don't want you to ask any questions. Wasn't planning on it, Honey, what happened at work today? Nothing at all, So
I'm just following the chat where they're saying that he's in some sort of Buffalo Bill situation.
Who's that? Todd Standing or me?
Todd Standing. Todd Standing is making clothes out of women's skin. We're going off air, I think.
I think we're done here. I think we're done. Anyway.
I'm crying. I'm sorry.
Yeah, good God. Bernie Gannon, are you aware of any verified Forestry Service members, park police, or law enforcement in general that have come out as whistleblowers? Martin Groves has. He's law enforcement. Now he's not park police, but he's law enforcement in, a rural area. He's in fairly close geographical proximity, and he had we don't even call it an experience or a sighting anymore, the attack. He was attacked in the LBL. There are a few people, and you know what? Right now, I'm completely. There's that gentleman who was one of the Navajo Rangers. There was. I have to look this up real quick. There was a Border Patrol agent that was out not too long ago that released a book where they talk about watching Sasquatch in the southern states on their thermal, and they were told not to report it. So there's been people out there. There's been people who that really got you, didn't it? The Todd Standing thing.
It's when you went down. James Barker even said, "We broke them."
Yes. Oh, good Lord. But yeah, there's been people who have come out for that. So.
MK Ultra says, "Put the plaster on the skin, or else you get the hose again."
Oh God. A, this has been the funniest live stream we've ever done. B, I'm waiting for that cease and desist order from Todd Standing tomorrow to make sure that we take this video down and it's never. All right, so
Watch it while you can,
yeah,
folks.
yeah, watch it while you can, man.
Hey, he has no legal standing. See you guys. Bye.
We're done here.
Just gonna go hang
Wrapping this
myself.
whole damn thing up. Closing the channel down.
I wish I had a gummy bear right now.
I know. So let's see here. North time. Let's see here. Crossdress and Cabal. They're just all going through here. Fred, I do want to do this. I take it Joe's not a Todd fan. No, I don't. It's weird because I don't have a opinion on him really one way or the other. There are a lot of ways his story has changed that's verifiable if you choose to look that up. And that can't be denied. You got to be honest with it. I don't think that a lot of that footage is real, but that's me saying I don't think it is. I'm not saying it's been proven to not be real. So I don't really, but come on, man. The jokes write themselves with this. You got to be, it's got to be addressed at least. But yeah, I don't like or dislike the guy. I will say this, that even Les Stroud said, hey, say what you want about him. That guy is like out there deep in the woods.
That's true.
And
That's true.
doing stuff that even Les Stroud was going, I can't believe we're out here doing this right now.
Let's put a little sugar on our sour here. That's true. He does go out in the woods for extended periods of time. He does.
Yeah. So, but you've got to admit that there's a certain element of crazy woman that seems to go hand in hand with Todd Standing, shooting people, stealing evidence SD cards and all of that. So, all right.
Well, based on our chat, I think a few of our viewers have the same kind of problems.
Yeah, I'm seeing this right now.
A pattern is emerging.
I just hit it here real quick. So yeah, it's true. Actually, Todd Standing's going to be on here one night going, ex-wives, huh, guys? What about those creepy ones that break into your camper and steal your SD cards? Am I right? So, all right.
Sean Blevins, that's a first. Instead of I wish I had a beer, it's I wish I had a gummy bear right now.
So, all right. Alan Lassiter, do y'all ever talk to Native Americans about cryptic stuff? We do. And you know what? It's one of the things that we always kind of like laugh about is how people will fetishize, like they have this unrealistic view of like a lot of Native Americans. They just think that, oh, a Native American told me, now the thing is that a lot of Native Americans, they were on this land before we were, and they were interacting with this same stuff that people are experiencing nowadays. And that's what a lot of their quote unquote folklore revolves around.
I think we mentioned this last night on that show, that, you'll have historians or whoever, they'll look at Native lore, they'll look at indigenous lore, and they'll say, oh, it was when they see something like carvings or paintings that appear to be what we would call Sasquatch, they will look at that and say, oh, it's just a misidentified bear. Or you'll have folklore that involves something that is described as a wild man, a hairy man, a Sasquatch would be akin to what we would call a Sasquatch. And they would say it was just a misidentified bear. These people were more in tune with their environment than any of us ever could be.
They knew what a bear looked like.
They knew what a bear looked like.
The person tweeting that may not know what a bear looks like, but
right.
They weren't misidentifying bears.
But you have people that are interacting and living in their environment and living and dying by their environment every day for generations, for millennia here. And you have them, talking about what they're seeing, what they're experiencing. And they also talk about bears, but as a separate entity. But then you have a professor or a scholar or somebody looking at their folklore.
Poor benighted savages. They didn't know what they were seeing.
Yeah,
they knew what they were seeing.
Yeah, they knew exactly what they were seeing.
They were experiencing.
They knew exactly what they were seeing and what they were experiencing.
They were in close proximity. But my point being this, that nowadays, not every Native American is really privy to this. Jesse is friends with them, but his father is an elder with the Catawba tribe And this guy is very keyed into tribal lore. Now, the son is very keyed into tribal lore and has had experiences. And there's been really weird activity going, pretty violent activity going on where he lives at. His father's a Catawba elder, and his father doesn't believe any of it at all. You know what I'm saying? He's a Catawba elder. He knows the folklore, but to him, it's just oral. It's just made up. It's fake.
Yeah.
So you don't really have like a unified. People seem to see them as a monolithic block, but they're just people. Some of them believe, some of them don't believe. Some of them never really think much past it. You know, it's just a story to them. Others are, you know, possibly have had experience themselves and have seen the similarities between what people are experiencing now and what a lot of this Native American like lore went to. We have an area that we go to that if you look at the tribal like legends of this area, the same thing was experienced by European settlers when they got in.
Yes.
And then now the same thing's being experienced by the people that go up into that area right now. So they were right about it back then. They were right about a lot about this stuff back then.
Now, you also have, following this up, Stingray 1975 says, I'm whiter than white, but have been adopted by the Saponi tribe, and I've never heard a thing about any cryptid. Now, ghosts, that's a different subject. Well, maybe they don't have any interactions with cryptids. Maybe there's cryptids not in that area. Maybe they've not had any interactions with it. Again, you cannot treat Native Americans as a monolith. It's not just, you can't just say that everything is the same. They all have the same set of experiences or knowledge or anything like that. You can't do that. You can't just wipe everything over with a broad brush. I don't know why that is like the thing. It's like, I don't know, maybe it's separation from reality and history that people do that. But yeah, so some people didn't experience that, just like some people have, you know.
Well, and also too is how did they, you can take 10 different people and maybe have them have the identical experience and all of them may come away with 10 different interpretations of what happened to them. Okay. So maybe somebody, because we always talk about that. We'll experience stuff in the woods and people will go, oh, Sasquatch was around you. And I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, if you took the activity that we just experienced in the forest and you put us inside of four walls, somebody would be calling an exorcist, you know?
Yeah.
You would say it's like demonic or it's like some sort of spiritual activity. So maybe just because they don't put the word like Sasquatch or their equivalent to it in front of that doesn't mean that they weren't necessarily interacting with the same phenomenon. So, all right, what do we got? I'm kind of tired at this point, man.
I know. Laughing. We were laughing so hard it killed me. It's like our drive back from the LBO. We were just laughing so hard.
Yeah, it was just all right. So what do we got here? Barges full of gummy bears. Everything just gets blended together, man. So everything just gets blended together. And I will say this, that like with Todd Standing, I couldn't keep up with him in the woods. You know, we do this stuff all the time, man. You know,
good night, so Southern Sasquatch. Frank's leaving. Southern Sasquatch's leaving.
We're wrapping up in a few minutes, guys.
Yeah, I gotta make dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're at the 2 hour 25-minute mark anyway. So this has been a long standing. We're gonna do last call on everything. So, but we are gonna go in here. But we're gonna do last call. That way, you guys can go ahead and get them rolling. We're not ending now, but we're doing last calls. So you guys can go ahead and get your stuff in now.
Modern people are so arrogant about their knowledge. I would put money on us having a higher percentage of idiots any other time in history. So you're a bunch of like people who are living a hunter-gatherer existence. The dumb ones and the lazy ones didn't really make it past like, you know, much past like puberty probably. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was they wouldn't live long enough to really be out there. My other thing too is that look at the pyramids. You constantly hear like they figured out how they built the pyramids, and then I look at it and I go, that's not how they built the pyramids. I don't know how they built the pyramids, but it wasn't this. This story was misleading. There was a story not too long ago. They were talking about how the method of building was discovered in this like papyrus in this cave, and then you get to it. And I'm going. They're talking about how some of the rock was shipped via like water, you know, and these were the small ones that were being shipped via water. That doesn't tell me how the pyramid was built.
It was lacking information for sure.
Yeah,
but they claimed it was a huge revelation.
So if we have it all figured out, then why can't we look at a lot of these things and go, I know exactly how they did it. Here's how. We have the benefit of like little pocket computers that we carry around that have the sum of human existence, like just at our fingertips. They didn't have that, and they got a lot accomplished. And my thing is this, is that you see the equivalence between different different cultures and their folklore. And yeah, they've got different names and everything like that, but the core activity that they're experiencing is the same damn thing. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you flash forward, and then now you just change the names a little bit. Instead of like fairies or anything like that, it's now aliens. They're experiencing the exact same thing. It's one of my favorite quotes that I may have come up with. Maybe I coined the phrase, but folklore is like a roadmap that like our ancestors left us on how to deal with this stuff. Yeah, some of it may have been like slightly altered over time, just with the constant retelling, especially in cultures that only had an oral tradition for passing these stories along. But there's not as much of that as you expect. A lot of the training that goes into that, that kind of like bard or griot kind of culture where they would just pass along oral traditions, that was taken extremely seriously, and you had to really give an accurate retelling of it. But yeah, I think that all the time, that I think that it's just, you look at it from a 21st century perspective, and you look at this and you're just like, those people, they didn't even have, they didn't even have electric cars back then. What do they know? You know what I'm saying? And I'm just going, well, they knew a lot because they had to know a lot. And they didn't have,
life wasn't as easy.
Yeah. And they didn't have like really well-built homes with electric light, and they didn't spend the majority of their time indoors. And if they wanted to go from one village to the next, well, they had to walk on foot. And usually the trip lasted longer than a day's worth of walking. So they would spend the night in the woods, and they would,
if you're spending all your time hunting and gathering, how are you watching cat videos?
Yeah, exactly, man. So do you even have a culture if you don't have cat videos? But anyway.
Oh my gosh.
And
guys.
Here we go. M right here. Thank you. I'm Cherokee, and in Oklahoma, most Cherokee lore is about casinos and tribal government corruption. That's the thing that always gets me, is that you see on these TV shows, they bring in, and trust me, there are some Native Americans who are extremely keyed into this. And then there's others that just don't care. They're not like a monolithic people. They're all individuals. And
yeah.
Some of them are, but if you look at the culture as a whole, they knew what the hell was going on. You know what I'm saying? So,
did you glitch out?
No, I didn't. I just occasionally things will catch me on here. They're talking about JC Johnson. Yeah, JC Johnson, we were talking about this on the interview last night, had some crazy stuff, man.
Yeah.
And I'd correspond with JC Johnson. Was a very kind man.
He headed up Crypto Four Corners in the Four Quarters area of the Southwest.
And he was, I'm just some nobody schlub, and we would correspond, and he would tell you crazy stuff. And at the time I would just go, JC Johnson's a nice guy, but there's no way I believe any of this. And now I'm just going, probably all possible. Miniature T-Rexes running around the desert, believe it. If you all right, let's see here. A lot of people with like Native, yeah. And again, you probably have, especially those of you who are full-blooded, you got family members that don't care one bit about this, you know? And then, but I thought was cool was that the guy we were referring to earlier, it's kind of like that rebellion type thing, maybe the grandfather was very into tribal customs and culture and everything like that. And his son was just like, screw all that. I want to listen to rock and roll. I want to do this, and didn't really learn of it and doesn't do it. And now his son's kind of rebelling by going back to the roots of the tribe and really taking serious. It helps too that he's had personal experiences with this stuff, and he sees the equivalence of what he's experiencing with what his ancestors have passed on down. So, all right.
Oh goodness, guys!
Goodness gracious!
This has been a really good show,
guys. This has been an awesome show. I'm going to kind of go down through here.
Joe's going to start posting all of this awesome, cool stuff at the end here, where everybody's giving praise and encouragement to us, all of us Hellbenders here. And then I will do the closing remarks here.
Great chat tonight, guys.
Yeah,
I know we got
away it's been a lot of
a little bit of levity is not a bad thing sometimes, and I think that
you guys knocked us off our chair at one point, so that's good.
My stomach hurts a little bit, so great job on that.
Make sure you guys catch us next week, same time, same
channel,
same hell channels, same hell time.
We appreciate it, and we greatly appreciate it. We'll take a more serious note next week.
We take it where what's handed to us. Okay. I think everybody enjoys the back and forth. I think everybody enjoys it.
Great show tonight, though, guys. Thank you, guys.
But yeah, great show, everybody. We really enjoyed hanging out with y'all and talking and shooting the breeze as usual. Thank you guys for checking out the interview we did last night. If you haven't checked that out, It's encrypted connections.
Mhm.
Make sure you go and check out that video. I'm gonna add it to the playlist on our page that has where I've done interviews, and Joe and I've done interviews in the past. I'll add it to that playlist. You can find it there, or you can go to his channel. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And if you watch that interview, it was a very good interview. We talked for a while,
I did a
and
great job on it, I think.
you did a great
I
job.
think I really
Yeah.
carried the whole thing.
You really carried the whole thing. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Joe. Really get it in there at the end. But we really appreciate you guys joining us. And y'all are the best. We have the best. We have the best viewers. And the best chat. I say too much as well.
Yeah. All right, Bernie, thank you for coming over from Kyle's channel, man. We appreciate it. So
yeah, we had a great time. Yeah, Kyle's channel's good. Make sure you check him out. He's going to be growing a lot over the next couple of years. So we look forward to seeing that. He's a good guy who has an open mind, which is the most important thing when it comes to doing this kind of work and this research. You have you fill your role that you do, what you like to do when it comes to doing this work and this research. But it's very important to have an open mind and really listen to what other people have to say, but be willing to form your own conclusions and be willing to change your conclusions based on more information. I think that's the biggest lesson that we learned from that interview last night. Thank you guys.
I want to close with a message to Todd Standing. Todd Standing, I know you're watching this. And everything tonight was just in jest, you know. I just want to tell you, make better life decisions with the women that you surround yourself with, and just keep on keeping on, man. So, and if that stuff is real, you know what? A lot of people are going to owe you an apology. I'm still on the fence. I think you're a hell of a guy and you're doing a hell of a job. That's all I got.
That was real big of you, Joe.
Pretty magnanimous of me, I think. So, yeah.
What a kind man. All right. Bye, guys. We love you. We'll leave it running for a minute so you guys can say your goodbyes. Thank you for watching Hellbent Holler Live. I just popped on here to say that music was terrible. And we're not going to play that for the outro. So bye again. Thanks, guys. Putting some